140,000 race fans have gathered in a place they call Thunder Valley in Northeast Tennessee. They are here for NASCAR Winston Cup competition. Today, it's the Food City 500 from Bristol Motor Speedway.
For the second consecutive year, several early season contenders felt the sting of the concrete courtesy of Texas Motor Speedway. Considering the violent nature of these impacts, it could have been worse. Fortunately, when the smoke and cobwebs cleared, there were no serious injuries, but serious concerns because Bristol loomed next. Mike Skinner would just like to finish a spring race here unscathed. Mark Martin would like to shuffle his August magic here to April and win one in the sun. And speaking of suns, no one can match the glow of this Rainbow Warrior team, which looks today to be a serious contender to celebrate consecutive victory number 5 in the Food City 500. Today, Mike Skinner hopes to halt the skid. The points leader 2 races ago now has fallen all the way back to 9th after recording 32nd and 42nd place finishes in his last 2 outings. A top 10 here today would almost seem like a win. Mark Martin hoped his first spring victory at Bristol would come on this most special of weekends. You see, 25 years ago tomorrow, April 12, 1974, he drove his very first race in Locust Grove, Arkansas. Happy anniversary, Mark. And speaking of records, well, if Jeff Gordon were to win today, he would become the first driver in the modern era to win the same event 5 consecutive times. 3 drivers, all victims in Texas, all hoping to be victors here today.
The brothers Labonte ended the 1996 season with a side-by-side championship and race victory celebration lap. This year began with many people pointing the finger at younger brother Bobby as a championship contender. He has the team, and he has the experience to get the job done. But this bone-breaking crash at Darlington caused many people to write off Bobby's championship hopes. Bobby was not among them. And with the strength and determination of a champion, he battled the pain and discomfort to finish 3rd at Texas, actually improving his points position to 2nd, only 2 out of the lead. His brother, 2-time series champ Terry, has started to reshape his young team. And 2 weeks ago, Terry powered past the competition, notching his first ever home state victory. It was a sweet celebration, one the off week allowed to be savored by the man we call Texas Terry. But now it's back to business on the high banks of Bristol, where beating and banging are the norm, not the exception. Bristol can be a key to a team's championship hopes. Just ask Terry, who 3 years ago crashed and won here on the same lap on his way to Victory Lane and the Winston Cup title. Today, Terry faces the tough task of pitting on the backstretch, making it nearly impossible to win. Terry hopes for a top 5 finish. Bobby starts 3rd today, says he feels great. In fact, the team does not have a relief driver standing by. Bobby plans on driving all 500 laps.
Racing is a blur of biographical facts and figures, but to the soul and senses of true champions, the one steady constant in a swiftly changing sea of uncertainty is the relentless pursuit of improvement. Wallace and Jarrett have traveled very different paths to arrive at the same challenging destination, tiny but mighty Bristol, a fan-waving, fender-banging oval of opportunity. Dale Jarrett is 3rd in points and hopes today could be his big night. Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace knows both sides of Bristol. 6 wins here, but 24 losses. After a 6-pack of races this season, Rusty Wallace has yet to taste victory. In fact, twice he's had to drink from the mug of shame, finishing outside the top 30. But he does have 4 top 10 finishes this season and comes here off his best finish of the year, a 4th place run at Texas. Now, in a brand new race car that never touched the track before it turned a lap here, Rusty is poised on the pole with a record-setting run and ready to tap into another win. Dale Jarrett finished 37th at Daytona, but with quality and care has climbed to 3rd in points. He has scored 5 straight top 11s and is the only driver in this field with 3 consecutive top 5 finishes. He has 18 career wins, 2 on the short tracks. The first one came here at night a little over 2 years ago. When his day is done, Dale Jarrett would like to be back in Victory Lane and maybe on top of the NASCAR Winston Cup points.
Today and next Sunday, you'll be treated to some exciting short track racing on the NASCAR Winston Cup Series before we move to the longest and the fastest track on the schedule, Talladega. Take a look at the point standing as we enter the short track season and look at them very carefully, because I have a feeling that they're going to change drastically in the next couple of weeks. And now take a look at where the top 10 will be starting, and notice that a lot of them have very poor starting positions. And starting in the back of the field here at Bristol, Ned and Benny create a lot of problems.
It really does, Bob. It's very difficult to pass on this racetrack. 6 of the top 10 in the point standings are pitting on the backstretch, and that is going to be very difficult to win from back there. Not only the passing situation, but when you make pit stops during cautions, and we will have some of those, it's very difficult to get out in front of those who pit on the front stretch. Take into consideration that just a little over a quarter of a second, in fact 2600ths of a second, separated first and 36th in this field. So very close competition.
That's what this makes this racetrack so doggone tough. The cars are so close, and they're so very fast around this racetrack that's banked 36 degrees in the corner, traveling at an average speed of 120 miles per hour. If something happens in front of you, there's just nothing you can do to avoid it. You're in the crash.
Well, we have had rain here. We had rain this morning and a shower pass over about 20 minutes ago. However, the skies are clearing nicely here. Obviously, the race isn't going to be started on time, but it's not going to be a lengthy delay. Stand by for ESPN and NASCAR.
Well,
ESPN's coverage of the Food City 500 from Bristol Motor Speedway being brought to you by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR. Hey, race fans, this Bud's for you. By Ford Motor Company, better ideas driven by you. And by Valvoline, you can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. If you watch NASCAR today, you may have thought, well, gee, some of that program was on tape, because Bill Weber was standing in a driving rainstorm at about 12:30, and by 10 minutes of, the skies were absolutely clear and the sun was shining. That, as indeed happened just in the last half hour, the track is drying quickly. Let's talk with the pole sitter. Here's Bill.
Well, Rusty Wallace will start from the pole right now with his crew chief, Robin Pemberton, and obviously you guys really roll the dice here. You brought a brand new car, and it's worked out well for you.
Yeah, I guess it says a lot for our confidence in the driver. You know, he can come to Bristol and Martinsville, and we can break out new cars, and you know, he's got such a good feel for a short track situation, so he can dial the car in for us pretty good.
You finally put one together at Texas. You had a good run and a good finish all in the same race. Robin, do you feel you maybe have to win here to really reboost the confidence of this team?
No, our confidence is pretty high. I mean, you'd like to win everywhere you go to. You don't have to win anywhere. You know, circumstances can take that out of your control at any given time. But now we look good here. The setup was really good in happy hour. And, you know, I think we've made the turn.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
That's Robin Pemberton. His car and his driver on the pole. Let's go to John Kernan.
Last time out 2 weeks ago at the Texas Motor Speedway, it was Texas Terry Labonte picking up his first win of 1999. Today has his work cut out for him, starting 30th, pitting on the backstretch. Terry, how tough is it going to be?
Well, it's awful tough, and I think if we can just survive here the first 400 laps, if we can stay on the lead lap, you know, I think we'll have a pretty good shot at a good finish, but boy, it's almost impossible to win from back there.
Terry Labonte looking for maybe not a win, but at least a top 5 or top 10. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
We told you a special anniversary for Mark Martin 25 years ago tomorrow, April 12th, 1974, Locust Grove, Arkansas. He drove his first race. It was a car number 2, Hugger Orange, a 1955 6-cylinder Chevrolet. And Mark, it must seem like yesterday you won a total of how much that night?
I believe it was $56 for the heat races and the feature and everything, but yeah, in a way it seems like not so long ago, in another way it seems like 25 years.
I know it's been a very special 25 years. How about marking the anniversary with a victory here, your first daytime win at Bristol?
Well, that'd be great. The Valvoline team's got a great car here this weekend, and we're looking forward to this race.
Were you happy with the car in happy hour yesterday, or are you concerned at all about the temperature change and maybe what's happened with the rain?
I'm not concerned about the temperature or the rain. Was very competitive yesterday in happy hour. The car wasn't perfect, but I don't think anybody's is going to be.
Hey, good luck, my friend.
Thank you.
Mark Martin, a special anniversary. You talk about bringing a short track car to a short track. Well, this is their Atlanta car. This car ran 193 miles an hour at Atlanta and finished third in the spring. They brought that car to Bristol. Talk about how things changed over the years.
Somewhere between 140 and 150,000 people have gathered here with the brief shower not deterring them at all. The track is drying very quickly, as you can see. As a matter of fact, we should be getting the command to start engines in just a moment. There's the incredible number of people that are here and ready for some action on the 36 degrees of banking in a half mile they call Bristol Motor Speedway. Engines have been started here at Bristol, and the pole sitter Rusty Wallace is making sure all the belts are tight and all the gear is hooked up. He's getting ready to go 500 laps here at Bristol. Jeff Gordon starting on the outside of row number 1. He too getting everything situated in the car for the long afternoon on the half miles. There's Jeff Burton, the current points leader in the Nascar Winston Cup Series, and he's got a tall order ahead of him coming from 31st starting position.
Good to see it. Evernham finally got Jeff Gordon a cup holder.
As I said, we'll go 500 laps. That's just a little over 266 miles, racing for a purse of more than $2 million. If there are no cautions, and there's very little chance of that, but if there is no caution period, they will be able to go 140 to 160 laps on fuel. And the record here was set in 1977 by Cale Yarborough, averaging more than 100 miles an hour. Today's field consists of 20 Fords, 16 Chevys, and 7 Pontiacs. Right now, a narrow advantage for Ford by just 2 points in the manufacturers' championship battle. Well, I think we're ready now for the Everstart Walmart grid. Let's take a look. Rusty Wallace with a brand new track record on Friday during qualifying has the pole. His third straight Food City pole, and outside Jeff Gordon, who's going for 5 consecutive victories at this racetrack. Moving to row number 2, there's Bobby Labonte. And how about Tony Stewart? Third top 5 start in 7 races this season, including, of course, his outside front row starting position at the Daytona 500. Back in row number 3, Ricky Rudd and Kenny Wallace both have good qualifying efforts here this weekend and are ready to go. There you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup. Mark Martin starting on the outside of the 4th row. Ricky Craven, his average finish in 6 races this season, 32.2, but he's got a good up front starting position for the race here this afternoon. How about Darrell Waltrip? 12 wins in 48 races at Bristol, hoping to make it a lucky 13 this afternoon. Kyle Petty has his best start this season. His average starting position in 1999, 23rd, but he starts 14th this afternoon. As you can see, the cars are rolling away. They'll take a couple of warm-up laps and then get set for the green flag and a long afternoon of competition on this tough racetrack. Elliott Sadler, his first top 10 finish of 99, his career best, was just 2 weeks ago at Texas when he came in 10th position. Brett Bodine, also a good starting effort today. Jerry Nadeau came very close to being involved in the crash with Dale Earnhardt yesterday afternoon during happy hour, but he avoided it. Now we take a look after Jimmy Spencer, who has the last pit position on the front stretch. Everybody past Jimmy will have to pit on the back stretch, and that's a major disadvantage.
It really is, because the pace car, when he picks up the field and drops the cars off on pit road, they drop the cars on the front stretch first, then they go around to the back stretch. By the time the pace car gets to the back stretch, these guys on the front have about half their work done.
It can be done, though, Ned. Davey Allison did it here.
He did it a number of years ago. The track was a little bit different then, and how he did it was not make a last pit stop for tires like many others did. He had enough fuel to go the way, and it was absolutely a one-groove racetrack then, and he was good enough that he held them all, and just held them up, really. He ran good, but they couldn't get by him, and he won the race, so it is possible.
Jeff Burton, the points leader, will be pitting on the back stretch. Ward Burton, 3 top 10 finishes in 6 races this season, but again, he's on the outside of row number 19. You saw Dale Earnhardt there, who was listed in the 34 starting position, but he will be going to the back of the field because he crashed during happy hour yesterday and will be driving a backup car here this afternoon. We had 4 drivers who failed to qualify for the Food City 500. Derek Cope, Stanton Barrett, Rich Bickle, and Carl Long.
Take a look at our onboard cameras. This is Michael Waltrip with a Briggs & Stratton onboard camera. Dick Trickle has the Jimmy Dean onboard camera in the Texas Lee Chevrolet. Bill Elliott, the McDonald's Ford onboard camera as he looks out the back bumper. Dale Jarrett has the Quality Care Ford Credit Taurus looking out the front windshield of his car. Wally Dallenbach to Budweiser Chevrolet. Mark Martin in his 25th anniversary in the Valvoline Ford. And Tony Stewart outside the second row, Home Depot Pontiac. Bobby Labonte will be carrying the Circuit City onboard camera in the Interstate Batteries Pontiac. And our pole sitter, Rusty Wallace, has the Miller Light Ford. And as you said, Rusty Wallace and Bristol Motor Speedway, those two kind of go together.
They sure do. He has 6 wins at this facility. Let's go down to Jerry Punch.
Before the race today, Jeff Gordon had those right side ribs treated in the center here in the middle of the middle of the complex. Wake Forest University Baptist Hospital representative Phil Horton gave him an ultrasound treatment on those right 5th, 6th, and 7th ribs. They put some multi-density foam over that. He's wearing a flak jacket, and they've expanded the seat. He will not have a backup driver standing by. Bobby Labonte, his right scapula now 3 weeks out from the fracture in Darlington, appears to be somewhat healed. He will not have Matt Kenza standing by. Now, Jimmy Spencer also received treatment on his right shoulder blade. He had a flak jacket also placed and some bandages over the right part of his shoulder. He will have Randy LaJoie standing by if needed to get in the car number 23. Let's check in with Bill.
At no racetrack that the Winston Cup Series stops at is there a bigger discrepancy between where you start and where you finish. There are a lot of guys in the top 20 in this field that have never won a race, and a few more that haven't won a race in a very long time. They pulled off great qualifying efforts, but here, without a lot of experience, it's very difficult to hang on to that spot. When this race is over, try and compare every car, where they started and where they finished. I think it'll be very interesting. To the backstretch, here's John Kernan.
And here on the backstretch, the points leader of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, Jeff Burton, will be pitting. So this crew, the pressure is on. They need absolutely perfect pit stops back here. We're talking in the 16.5 to 17 second range just to try and maintain position. Don't look for them to make up any spots back here on the backstretch. But their major concern with Jeff starting way back in 31st is missing the first couple of accidents, because you know here at Bristol, action happens really fast and you can get in trouble without even knowing about it. Well, you know about it, but too late.
And they will take a couple of more laps before the green flag. It certainly has been advantageous to start up front. The pole position has provided 9 wins in 38 Bristol Spring races. Second position 9. On down through the 21st through 43rd position. Only once has the race been won from that far back, and that was by Dale Earnhardt back in 1994. 17 of 76 Bristol races have been won from the pole position, while the field now is getting set for the green flag high above Bristol Motor Speedway, looking down on this incredible facility here in the mountains of Northeast Tennessee. Overhead shots courtesy of the Pennzoil Copter Cam.
All right, I think 1 lap to go, and we're going to be seeing the green flag, and these guys will be going down in turn 1. And 43 will be going down the corner. Ned, you reckon they'll all come out in turn 2? That's the question.
Well, let's just hope that they do. But one thing they'll be trying to do, those that are starting on the outside row will be trying to get down on the inside row, and that can be difficult at times.
But all that rubber that was built up during the Busch race yesterday and happy hour was washed away by these showers today.
A lot of rain this morning and on up until noon. Showers on and off, and some of it was hard rain, so it did wash all that rubber off.
It's a completely green racetrack that these 43 competitors face here this afternoon as we get set for 500 laps of competition in the Food City 500. Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon, Bobby Labonte, Tony Stewart, Ricky Rudd, and Kenny Wallace are the top 6 starters as the pace car makes the hard left onto pit road. The field down through the front stretch. The crowd on its feet cheering as the green flag waves.
1 and 2.
And 3 and 4.
Bumping between the 75 of Musgrave and the 44 of Kyle Petty as Kenny Wallace is caught up on the high side. That's Bobby Hamilton below him. We watch from Mark Martin's perspective, and you know Kenny would like to get down into that lower groove.
Yes, he would. He's looking for a groove. The spotter is looking for him a groove, but it's back about 2 cars before he can get down there.
There's Ricky Craven in the 58. Here comes Kenny Irwin in the 28. And if he waits while Kenny passes by, he might be able to work his way down into the lower groove. But now, 77 of Robert Presley is closed in, so Kenny continues to struggle up there on that high line.
Yeah, that gap that was there closed in. He might have been better off just to put the brakes on for just a second and got in that hole, but he's doing pretty good up there on the outside.
And Mark Martin gets by the Bobby Hamilton car. He's got the Kodak Film Chevrolet on the outside. Oh, almost in the outside retaining wall off turn 2. So put Mark Martin up in the 6th spot.
And Kenny Wallace was able to get to the inside and to pass Bobby Hamilton. So Kenny Wallace now in 9th position, as up front it is Rusty Wallace, pursued closely by Jeff Gordon. Bobby Labonte is 3rd, Tony Stewart 4th, and Ricky Rudd 5th. Last lap 119.626 for Rusty.
And we can see that front bumper on Jeff Gordon's car going down almost, and I guess it is, dragging the racetrack as he goes through the corner. Tremendous force in these cars. The drivers drive these cars down in the corner.
And a milestone reach for Rusty Wallace as he has now led 2,500 laps at Bristol.
It only takes about a little over 16 seconds to get around this racetrack. Now we see Dahlin back on the outside.
Yeah, Kyle Petty had really been working on Wally. Got his bumper into him a time or 2, and finally Wally slipped up a little bit. That gave Kyle the opening that he needed to go by.
Dale Jarrett trying to move up, and we have some smoke. The 28 car of Kenny Irwin with a trail of smoke behind it. He's down on the apron of the racetrack, but and we have a crash involving Ernie Irvin.
Oh, a lot of damage to the M&M's Pontiac back in the backstretch. I guess he's hit the inside wall.
And maybe that smoke is tire smoke instead of...
I don't think so.
Like he's putting down some fluid.
Yeah. I think he's blowing the oil line off or something because the car is still running and looks to be up to speed, but just a lot of damage to that car.
A lot of damage. You wonder if somebody backed off before that smoke, and maybe Ernie backed off and somebody hit him. He's already into the spin here when we pick it up. Front end hits, then it goes around and hit it again. Let's go to the pits and John Kernan.
Ned, Ernie just radioed into his crew as he pulls his M&M's Pontiac behind pit wall where the crew's bringing the crash cart to go to work and try and get it fixed and put him out. He told his crew, they checked up in front of me, and I got into the back of somebody and spun it out. Now to Dr. Jerry Punch.
The car number 28 has back come down pit road, and Doug Reichert has told his driver, Kenny Irwin, to shut the engine off. Apparently, what Kenny said a moment ago, I think it's a line loose. There's oil in here on me. There's fluid coming out. At first, he thought there may be a problem with the fire extinguisher going off, but he suddenly saw a lot of smoke from the floorboard. And Doug Reichert said, what happened? Was that the fire extinguisher button? He said, no. A line is loose. There is oil. The spotter is telling him that the pace car is coming out of turn 4. You got to hustle. They got the hood pin down at 35 miles an hour. They continue to tell him to watch his speed. They may bring him back in to make sure they got all the hood pins in place, but boy, a couple anxious moments there for 28. They're telling Kenny to run hard to get back to pit road so they can raise it up and look again.
Just barely beat the pace car onto the track, but did stay on the lead lap, and he'll be coming around for at least one more stop before they get that car fixed. Back in a moment. We ran And 5 laps under caution, but we are back under green now as the Food City 500 continues. Rusty Wallace continues to hang on to the lead. Darrell Waltrip now is the one on the outside.
Yeah, he got shuffled out there, and Kyle Petty got underneath him, and he has gone far back into the field. They're still going by Darrell. He can't get back down on the inside.
That's Jeffrey Bodine in the 60, Sterling Marlin in the 40 that are shuffling Darrell to the back. Let's go to John Kernan, who's with Ernie Irvan.
Ernie's crew has gone to work trying to fix his Pontiac to get him back out there. Ernie, fortunately, you're all right. What happened?
Yeah, I'm all right. That's just what happens when you start in the back. And, you know, there was a chain reaction. A lot of people checked up. And I got into the back of the one car. It's just a shame.
Ernie Irvan disappointed, out of it for now, but his crew is working feverishly to get the car back out there.
Ernie won both his first NASCAR Winston Cup pole and his first event in Winston Cup competition here at Bristol. Both of those occurring in 1990. His first pole was in the spring race. His first victory was in the fall race. Well, let's take a taste of the race here and see how the Jimmy Dean telemetry shows us the speed and the RPM from Rusty Wallace. And the brake. Now that red bar there indicates when he's on and off the brake.
Once he goes down the straight, it accelerates up to 8,700 RPMs. But you see how quick it is? Now he's down to about already back down to 7,000 RPMs.
And they don't use the brakes nearly as much. Next week we'll see that brake light on a lot at Martinsville for a long time. These high banks here, you don't need quite as much brake.
And Rusty Wallace is about to catch Dick Trickle and put Trickle a lap down. Trickle is off the pace. By the way, for the Kenny Irwin fans, he is back on the racetrack, and the Texaco Howland car is not smoking.
He's running 35th right now.
Now Rusty trying to get around Dick Trickle, who's driving the 91 car here this weekend, and he does as Dick Trickle provides plenty of room for the line to go by.
It looks like Trickle might have a cylinder gone or something. The car is just not up to speed.
No, it's not going down the straightaway fast.
There goes Rudby on the outside. Ricky in 6th position right now. Top 5 are running together.
As a matter of fact, he did bring the car to victory, didn't he?
He's slowing as if he's going to enter the pits on the backstretch. Yes, he is. Dick Trickle going to the pits.
How about Kyle Petty, who's in 10th position right now?
Kyle Petty has had an awfully good race car since Friday morning when he opened the racetrack for practice. He first took a Hot Wheels Pontiac on the racetrack. He was really, really good. Qualified 14th. And I think our stat said his best qualifying at the start of 1999.
John Kernan, what's the report on Trickle?
Dick Trickle's car not handling well at all, so they've decided once he lost the lap, now they're going to hold him. Apparently he was too fast coming down pit road for 15 seconds. The car just very, very loose, and they decided to go ahead after losing the lap, come in, change 4 times, air pressure adjustment. Now the penalty has been served. Trickle is headed back out to the racetrack.
Back for about 26th, 27th, and 28th position, you find the 31 of Skinner, the 3 of Earnhardt, the 71 of Marcus, and the 5 of Terry Labonte.
And now Jeremy Mayfield off the pace and gets running the backup by the 16 car of Kevin LePage. And now it looks like he's back up to speed again.
Well, we see Darrell Waltrip going a lap down here in the early going, 33 laps. John, what happened to Jeremy Mayfield there for a moment?
Bobby just radioed into his crew and said, hey, the motor just quit. So he quickly switched to the backup ignition system. Now everything seems to be okay.
You see the damage in the left rear. I think that was Kevin LePage in the Prime Star car that went in the back of Jeremy Mayfield.
And many times this is where we see wrecks here at Bristol. The drivers trying to stay on the lead lap. They're scrambling. The leaders come around in a hurry. And sometimes some drivers get a little over anxious.
There we see the 16 car got a little tap from his teammate, Chad Little. Now Chad trying to get alongside Jeremy Mayfield, and Jeremy trying to go on the outside of Dave Marcus. We've seen that tried many times at Bristol. Will pass on the outside.
They're having a pretty good side-by-side battle. Here it is again.
Ever see Jeremy Mayfield comes off the corner?
Wow.
He gets the car loose, and all of a sudden, as he comes off, he just stops.
He's just trying to gather it back in, gets hit there by the 16 car, Kevin LePage, and Rusty Wallace is in heavy traffic.
He sure is. Got a lot of cars ahead of him. David Green is up there. Waltrip already a lap down. What's the problem with Darrellville?
Well, he just told his crew his car is very, very loose. He got high on the racetrack. His spotter tried to get him back in line. Darrell got back in line twice, just couldn't keep the car pinched down. 66 cars loose.
Back in 41st position. So Darrell Waltrip, who started in 12th, has been going the wrong direction since the drop of the green flag. Lost one position early and is now all the way back to 41st and a lap down. Rusty continues to move through the slower traffic, putting a lap on Johnny Benson, who's running 37th.
He's been able to get by David Green, Joe Nemechek, Buckshot Jones. Now Bobby Labonte tries to get on the inside of Johnny Benson. He does that.
Bobby Labonte running in 3rd position. It remains the same up front. It is Rusty, followed by Jeff Gordon, Bobby Labonte, Tony Stewart, and Mark Martin. Those are your top 5 with 40 of 500 laps completed. ESPN is live at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Food City 500. 50 laps old. We're on board with the leader of the race, Rusty Wallace, looking back on Jeff Gordon, who closes in quickly. In the last 5 seasons, 36 races, the average finish of Rusty Wallace, 7.7. The best of these 5 drivers that we see here. He has won 8 times. Jeff Gordon is second on that list, and look who's running first and second here at Bristol this afternoon. Those two.
Bobby Labonte right now putting a lot of pressure on Jeff Gordon. I think the fact of the matter is that this traffic is slowing down all the way.
We've seen several cars go a lap down, including Dave Marcus, Wally Dollenbach, Kevin LePage. Now the 9-car Jerry Nadeau is a lap down. Jeff Gordon passing him by. Wally is reporting that his car is loose, and I think a lot of drivers are probably saying that, Ned.
Yes, I think they are. I've been looking all over the field out there, and you see a lot of cars that are moving around. They'd love to have a caution flag so they can come in and make some adjustments on those cars.
But you can't wish too hard for a caution flag, because when you do, it's usually you.
That's true.
Jerry Punch has a report on pit road. Jerry?
About 2 laps ago, when Rusty Wallace was making a move beneath the car number 9 of Jerry Nadeau, the car shifted up and apparently rubbed Nadeau with his right front fender. Rusty has now asked his spotter to take a look at the right front fender and keep an eye on it. They said it may be creased a little bit, but there is no tire rub. He just said, go get it, we'll let you know. We see some smoke.
Had to take some evasive action there to lap the 28 car. And one of those drivers that we talked about being a starter from the back of the field and having to pit on the back stretch, well, he's moved up nicely here in the first 57 laps.
That is the points leader, Jeff Burton, has moved all the way up to 15th.
Started back in 31st position, and right now is running in the 15th spot. Napa Field Summary is showing you where everybody is in the point standings right now. We'll continue to track that throughout the afternoon.
Rusty Wallace has got a problem right now, or Jeremy, I guess, has got a problem, because he doesn't want to be lapped by his teammate Rusty Wallace, but he's got Steve Park up there, and he doesn't want to spin Steve Park out to try to get by. And meanwhile, Rusty doesn't want to go up there and push too hard on Jeremy Mayfield. Here's to see how this works out.
Kyle Petty has just moved into the 7th position, passing Ricky Craven.
Right there is where Kyle's Hot Wheel Pontiac seems to really excel as he comes off the turn. Down the corner, he backs off a little early, but he turns the car, accelerates, and he really gets off the corner.
That's the key here at Bristol. If you have a car that'll do that, similar to what Jason Keller was able to do yesterday in the Busch race.
And Bobby Labonte moves by Jeff Gordon in the 2nd spot.
Now Tony Stewart there on the right of your screen, and that orange number 20 takes a look at Jeff.
Looks like Jeff's car maybe is one of those that's getting a little bit loose. I noticed him coming off of turn 2 over there that he slipped a little bit. He's not able to accelerate off the corners the way that he would like to.
Look at those who have moved up. Burton up 16 positions. Earnhardt has moved up 14th. At 14 positions, Ward Burton is up 12. So is Michael Waltrip, and Steve Park has gained 14. Steve was a lap down, I believe, at once, but now is back on the lead lap just in front of Wallace. Jerry?
A moment ago, Robin Pemberton asked Rusty, said, you want us to get you some help from the spotters? You're talking about your teammate, Jeremy Mayfield. Rusty said, no, I'm going to ride here for a little bit, and maybe a caution will come out, and Jeremy can stay on the lead lap. I'll stay as long as I can until I get pressure in the 18 car. And apparently the 18 car pressured him, and Rusty was forced to make the pass.
And Jeff Gordon loses a couple of more positions as both Tony Stewart and Mark Martin were able to pass him by. So we look back on now the 5th place runner, Jeff Gordon.
And it could be that when Rusty Wallace caught those cars up there that Jeff Gordon just decided that he did not want to play bumper tag with these guys and decided to back off. You see back to Ricky Rudd. It's about, I don't know, about 2 or 3 seconds back to Rudd. So
about 3.5 seconds, actually.
3.5 from Rusty back to Rudd. From Gordon, it's 2 seconds, a little over 2 seconds back there. So he's no pressure as far as position is concerned. We see Dick Trickle there on his back bumper, but Trickle is 4 laps down right now.
He did make a pit stop.
Ooh,
wow.
Touch a little bit when he comes off the corner. Jeff said, hey, you touch me, I'll touch you back.
Well, let's check the speeds here at the line. And look who's the fastest. It's Kyle Petty, 112.8 that lap. Bobby Labonte second quick, and Tony Stewart third. So Kyle has it dialed in here today. See if he has the fastest lap. Nope. Mark Martin the fastest that time around. But of course, that a lot depends on who's in front of you and who's in back of you and how much traffic there is around you.
There's Rick Mast losing a position as Dale Jarrett and Jimmy Spencer goes by. Kyle Petty fastest again.
Kyle Petty will be slower this lap because he passed the lap car of Kenny Irwin. But meanwhile, we see Dale Jarrett, Jimmy Spencer trying to march toward the front. These guys are running in the 9th and 10th spot. Steve Park still standing out in front of Rusty Wallace, the leader.
Let's check the interval between 1st and 6th. There's Petty running in 6th spot, about 3.4 seconds behind. He started 14th, moved up a position by lap 14, and then it has been a steady progress to the front since then. Be nice to see Kyle have a good run here this afternoon. His best finish here came back in the spring race of 1993. He was third. Pretty good battle up front. Bobby Labonte there in 2nd spot. Jeff Gordon continues to slip back. He hasn't lost any more positions. He's still 5th, but almost 3 seconds back now, Doc.
And Bob, remember in happy hour yesterday when the track was very slippery after the 250-lap Busch race? Gordon was very, very good. The car was very quick. Well, right now, it has rained last night and this morning. The track has changed, and Jeff Gordon is very tight. You watch his car go into the corner. It'll wash up across the racetrack almost to the middle lane. He can't keep it down. He's having to take his right hand from the 2 o'clock position and turn it all the way past 12 over to about 10 and turn the steering wheel to get the car to turn. It is very, very tight.
And he is, Rusty Wallace is in very heavy traffic once again. On board with Tony Stewart, who's in 3rd spot. That's Bobby Labonte right up ahead in 2nd.
There are a lot of cars we've talked about looking loose, and I predicted that Jeff Gordon's loose, but you get a similar type situation. I said he was not getting off of the corner, and so he was just not able to accelerate because the car would push out into the wall. But there are a lot of cars that are the opposite of Jeff Gordon and loose as Kyle goes by.
Kyle goes to 5th now, and Jeff Gordon back to 6th as Rusty Wallace continues to lead the race and tries to thread his way through the slower traffic up ahead. Just about to put a lap on Ward Burton, who's running back in 28th position. We have completed 80 of 500 laps at Bristol Motor Speedway with Wallace leading the Food City 500. Back at Bristol Motor Speedway, the Food City 500, Bobby Labonte taking a look at Rusty Wallace. Rusty got loose coming off the corner.
Rusty's been getting a little bit loose off these corners. I know a few laps go off turn 4, the car got a little bit loose, so.
He's been in heavy traffic for about 30 or 40 laps, and it's not going to end for him either. He looks up ahead. There's more up there than behind him.
Napa Field summary shows you the points battle going on in the Manufacturers Championship.
Steve Park is trying his best to stay in front of Rusty Wallace because he does not want to go a lap down. It's just a kiss of death this early on to go a lap down and be fighting uphill all day long.
And he's done a good job. He's been there for a long time and has been able to run that bottom groove and stay out in front of Rusty.
Rusty's got a run on it, but can't quite get alongside.
Steve's back in 28th position. Make that, 28th position.
And Steve Park has never driven any harder in his life than he is right now. In his modified days, whenever. Right now he's driving as hard as he possibly can.
Meanwhile, Kyle Petty has caught up with Mark Martin, and that's the battle for 4th spot.
There was a time that Kyle Petty was 6 seconds behind Rusty Wallace. Now he is less than a second behind him.
Here's Jimmy Spencer doing battle with Dale Jarrett.
Dale's car seems to be extremely loose. I've noticed his last 10 laps he had got out there by himself, and he had picked up a little bit of time on the leader, but now he's losing time.
John Andretti also passes him, so that puts him back to 12th position, Dale Jarrett. Bill Elliott trying to weave through traffic. He's got him lined up 2 abreast in front of him, though.
And all this is right in front of the leader. I mean, Rusty Wallace is only about 100 yards. Look at all these cars, and right behind him is Rusty Wallace. Looks like the whole world is right in front of Rusty.
That's what I was talking about there a moment ago. It was heavy, and it's gotten heavier since then because they've gotten side by side now.
Kyle Petty just took 4th spot from Mark Martin.
Oh, and Steve Park and Rick Mass got together coming off turn 4. And there goes Gordon on the inside of Mark Martin. Rusty Wallace almost ran in the inside wall trying to avoid the crash that really never happened.
100 laps about to be complete. Only 1 caution during the first 100 laps. On board with Dick Trickle, he is 4 laps down. Made an early pit stop, but he seems to be doing well as far as speed is concerned right now.
The car's running good. I'm sure they put tires on when he made that pit stop. It has a little fresher tires, but the car is handling well. He has passed some good race cars.
Terry Labonte has gone a lap down. And Jerry has a report on Rusty Wallace, who continues to lead this race.
Bob, the only person busier in this Miller Lite pit than Rusty is his spotter, who's actually on top of the suites over in turn 3. He's telling Rusty he's got the cars, the other spotters' cars, lined up one by one to talk to him when he catches them. Now, for the past 7 laps, he's been talking to Ty Norris, who is the spotter for the car number 1 of Steve Park. Said, hey, give us a little bit of help. Rusty's trying to be patient, not the pasture guy. If you move over, we'll go by without having to rub you or move you. But he just now told Rusty, hey, you're not getting any help from the 1. You have to do it on your own.
Side-by-side battle there between Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin momentarily now. Jeff Gordon in the 5th position. Boy, it's a typical Bristol race, isn't it? A lot of traffic out there, and a lot of bumping and banging.
Well, it really is a lot of bumping and banging, but it hasn't been so severe yet that there's some more of it, that no one has spun out. We haven't had a caution. You've got to admire those guys for the patience that they're having out there now.
Just one caution. That was Ernie Irvin, who slammed into the backstretch wall. But we've seen about a dozen accidents that should have occurred that haven't.
And we see Brett Bodine. Steve Park finally gets alongside Brett. Here comes Rusty Wallace. Ooh, a little bit of contact between the two.
Brett wants to stay up that lead lane.
Oh, we got a crash. Ricky Rudd is back to the wall down turn 1.
Dick Trickle also involved. John Andretti almost involved. He took evasive action to the inside and narrowly missed hitting Dick Trickle.
And we see Jimmy Dean's onboard cameras. Trickle pulls away.
Ricky Rudd has some major damage to his car.
And the worst thing, Ron, he has a flat left front tire, and he realizes if he drives the car back to the pit area, he'll drag everything off of it trying to get back to the pits.
Here's a replay of what happened.
There you see Ricky Rudd, the tied car. And Trickle's on the outside. Rudd does not know Trickle's there, decides to go by Bodine on the outside. They make contact.
And Rudd hitting the wall just about the same place that Dale Earnhardt did yesterday during happy hour. Now from the Jimmy Dean onboard camera with Trickle.
He starts up on the outside, and Rudd does too. Turns him the wrong way into the wall.
Down to Bill Weber.
Very tight here on pit road in the drivers' meeting. They told the drivers they could put their right side tires on that yellow line to try and give them a little extra room to move away. Kyle Petty is loose, but just 4 tires and fuel to Jerry.
4 tires for Rusty Wallace. No change. He is down and away. Here goes Bobby Labonte. Great pit stop. And Jeff Gordon, they made an air pressure change to try to help his car. Let's go to John Kernan.
On the backstretch, Jeff Burton is in for a 4-tire change as Rusty Wallace and the other guys pitting on the front stretch make their way around the racetrack. They just made air pressure adjustment to try and tighten the car up a little bit.
Burton clears the line, now accelerates and gets back in line.
But he only beat one of the cars that pitted on the front stretch out. And now that one's coming back in. That's Brett Bodine.
So Rusty Wallace is going to hang on to the lead as he had a great pit stop getting him out first. Bobby Labonte's going to line up second, then Martin Stewart, Jeff Gordon, and Kyle Petty. NASCAR Winston Cup racing here on ESPN today. The Food City 500 from Bristol Motor Speedway. Here's Keith Martin in the crew cam on the 40 car.
Changing that right rear. Listen to the gun. Takes the other guy. See, there's 5 lug nuts. Got to take them all off, put them all back on. Listen.
Doesn't take long, does it?
Boy. Isn't that amazing? And you know what? He was the slowest one of the bunch. The front guy would finish when he got through.
We're under our second caution of the day. It occurred on lap 107. Involved Rudd and Trickle.
Ricky Rudd starts to go by Jeffrey Bodine on the outside, doesn't realize Trickle is there. Watch this. And Trickle just turns him head on in the wall. That on board our Jimmy Dean onboard camera.
Jerry Punch is with Ricky.
Well, the car back behind the wall, the time ride, getting ready to go green. Let's ask Ricky. Ricky, quickly, what happened out there?
Well, Jerry, run up on some traffic, and some of the guys behind me, I guess, got a little antsy and you know, kind of racing like it was the last lap, and I think it was a 91 car. Stuck his nose in there where he really probably didn't belong, and started chain reaction. Got me turned around.
How bad's the damage, Ricky?
That's pretty bad. It slammed the fence pretty hard on the left front. They got to change a bunch of suspension around. So our day's over. We'll just go out there and ride it out.
All right, tough break for Ricky Rudd after a great qualifying effort.
Yes, indeed. Rudd started up in 5th position. However, he right now is behind the wall. Let's take a look at a pit summary and see how everybody did. Wallace maintained his position. So did Bobby Labonte. Martin gained 3 positions. Tony Stewart lost 1. And looks like the Kyle Petty dropped a couple of spots there on the pit stop.
But the 43 car, John Andretti, had started 26th. He moved up to 9th spot. He's now 16th. He lost 7 spots on that pit exchange.
He was very close to being involved in that accident, from which we have gone back to green. Wallace did not lose the lead during that caution period. He so far has led every lap.
John Andretti lost all those spots, pitted on the backstretch in that back pit. See, Bobby Labonte gets by Kenny Irwin. Jerry Nadeau almost in the outside retaining wall. Just came off turn 4.
Pennzoil Copter Cam has these overhead shots of the activity. And we'll just check the field as it circulates the 36 degrees of banking here at Bristol. And boy, when you got 41 cars out there right now with Rudd and Irvin behind the wall. But when you got that many out there, they stretch more than a quarter of a mile.
See some damage on the right rear, but DJ made some contact, I guess, with Dick Trickle a moment ago, and he's lost how many spots?
Yeah, Trickle ran up under him and almost knocked him into the wall, and then he came back down, and another car touched him, and he went back to the wall again. Did a good job of not wrecking, really.
Bill has more on Dale Jarrett.
And Todd Parrott just told Jarrett that the left rear looks fine. Everything's okay. Keep going. They're really happy with how their car's running. Obviously, handle did start to slide away a little bit on that last run. Late in the run, DJ said he was a little loose. They tried to fix it with tires.
John Andretti is right there behind him, though.
Jarrett dropped from 9th back to 14th.
77 car of Robert Presley. He was just passed by Jeff Burton. Moved Burton up to 12th. Presley is 13th and Jarrett is 14th.
We'll check our Ford Quality Care onboard camera just a moment ago. As DJ goes down in turn 3. There we see the bump from behind, and up the hill he goes, and there all the cars are going by. And he and Kenny Wallace's square D car almost made contact as they came off turn 4. Meanwhile, there's the leader, Rusty Wallace, a 2-car. 18, Bobby Labonte in 2nd spot. And we see Mark Martin, the Valvoline car, in 3rd.
About a half a second, 0.6 of a second. Separate 1st and 2nd at about 1.3 seconds back to Mark Martin. Tony Stewart is hanging right in there, running in the top 5. Here's Mark, who's running 3rd, celebrating his 25 years in auto racing this weekend.
Those front 3 cars have got a pretty good lead over the 4th place car of the Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon as they've been tied up in that lap traffic.
28 car is not on the lead lap. Kenny Irwin had a problem early.
On an oil pump, I think, is what the report we got. That's the reason for the oil leak. They tightened that fitting and back on the track.
He's in 27th position. On board with Tony Stewart, and up ahead is the guy that he's doing battle with in Rookie of the Year honors in NASCAR Racing 1999. That's Elliott Sadler.
Elliott right now is the first car a lap down. He's in 25th spot.
Don't forget Major League Baseball tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Baseball season in full swing, and we've got a great one for you tonight. It's Anaheim against the Texas Rangers. That's 8 o'clock tonight, Major League Baseball. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Part of the Go Network, go.com.
And finally, Tony Stewart gets by the Elliott Sadler car. Michael Waltrip in front of Steve Park. That's a battle for the 20th position. Steve Park looks like his car has already run 500 laps.
He did a great job of staying on the lead lap. He ran in front of Rusty Wallace for at least 50 laps.
All these cars owned by Bobby Hamilton, the Kodak car.
It's about 19th, 20th, and 21st that you're watching.
And we go on the roof cam with the Briggs & Stratton Chevrolet. Oh.
Now these cars are running about a little over 12 seconds behind the leader, so they got to run hard. But Rusty Wallace out there running by himself, and no traffic is coming up on them in a hurry.
I'm sorry, it's a Briggs and Stratton onboard. Obviously, Michael Walker drives the Phillips Flowers Furniture Chevrolet. And DW.
He goes 3 laps down now. Winningest driver here at Bristol with 12 victories. Will not record another one today. Here comes Jeff Burton, who has moved up into the top 10. He's now 9th, and oh, he just lost a spot as Musgrave was able to pass him. And how about Dale Earnhardt?
My hat's off to Earnhardt. He crashed yesterday afternoon in happy hour, brought the backup car out, and then he got, what, 10 or 12 laps total in this car, and he started 43rd on the field and moved up to 15th.
Pretty impressive run on this racetrack.
Hour yesterday as these cars were practicing for the final time. Earnhardt took her off of corner number 4 and just got out from under.
He was following his teammate Mike Skinner, and it did. It got loose on him. He tried to correct it, thought he did have it corrected, and then all of a sudden it just shoots right up into the wall. A lot of damage to the right front.
Check our camera down in turn 1. Watch as he comes off. Almost has it saved. He's going straight, and all of a sudden he just can't quite catch up. And as Ned said, it's pretty heavy damage to that right front. That's why they had to bring the backup car out.
Well, they were within minutes of pulling the backup car out, getting it ready with Dale himself doing some work on the preparation of the backup car. As we told you, he did have a few laps on the car before happy hour ended. So now that 34 starting position was where he was supposed to have started. He actually started 43rd.
Of course, when you wreck and go to a backup car, you do have to go to the rear of the field. He's working on the 33 car of Ken Schrader, who is running in 14th position at the moment.
These guys about 13.5 seconds behind the leader, and there he is, continuing to put cars down at will, it seems. Looking back now on Bobby Labonte, they have Buckshot Jones between first and second right now as Rusty Wallace continues to lead with 142 laps completed. The Food City 500 from Bristol Motor Speedway, 152 laps completed. Rusty Wallace continues to lead and is again having some problems moving through the traffic. He's been trying to put Brett Bodine a lap down for a long time, and it looks like he's finally going to get it done.
Well, Brett Bodine watched Steve Park the last time fight, stay on the lead lap, and Park was successful. And that's one reason Brett Bodine this time fought so hard.
Put Brett a lap down in 23rd spot. Moments ago, the 97 car driven by Chad Little had a little incident with the 28.
He goes in and makes contact with Kenny Irwin. We see both cars bounce off the racetrack, and the 97 car had to go to the pits. John Kernan?
Chad Little changed 2 right side tires. This is the right front tire. You can see the contact that was made. The fender just cut a hole right in the sidewall of the tire. All the air escaped. Tire went flat.
And Rusty Wallace, as we indicated, has been trying to get around several cars. Now, before he actually passed Brett, there was that little bit of contact.
That was just bumper to front bumper to rear bumper, and the tires did not get involved. See Ricky Rudd, the Tide car, back on the speedway. Slow down the front stretch.
And he's some 49 laps down. And the 99 and the 88 have been having a pretty good battle out there. Jarrett takes 8 from Burton.
Telling him where he is on the racetrack.
He also, I think, said he was the fastest car on the racetrack right now.
He's been turning some good laps, even though coming through traffic, but Rusty's in traffic as well, so that getting him shuffle back might have made a man.
Well, let's check the speeds at the line. Gordon.
Rusty Wallace and Tony Stewart, the top 3 times so far. Now we go back Ted Musgrave, the quickest time that time. John Andretti already, and then Dale Jarrett that time had the third fastest lap of the cars on the lead lap. Try it again. Once again, Ted Musgrave. I guess Musgrave must be running in place by himself around the racetrack.
He and DJ both are by themselves on the racetrack.
And that just goes to show you that the leaders, especially at a track like this, aren't always the fastest. Now Jarrett was that time. Ricky Craven about to go a lap down. Will be the next two, along with Ken Schrader.
Yeah, Ken Schrader's right there also. About to go a lap down.
Among those who have lost a lap, Bill Elliott, Terry Labonte, Jeremy Mayfield, Rick Mast, Elliott Sadler,
Sterling Marley.
20 cars remain on the lead lap.
All clear.
And Ricky Craven decides to bring his Hollywood video car to the pit area.
And Bill Weber is right there as Ricky comes in.
And Craven has come down pit road. All he did was radioed in and said something broke. So they're going around to the right side. The engine over all this noise seems to sound fine. Now they're going to go ahead and pull the hood pin and look underneath. Mike Hillman, the crew chief of company. Craven revs the engine. They put on right side tires. They talk back and forth on the radio. And it looks like they might push him behind the wall. They're going to go ahead and fill him with fuel. They're looking underneath the mirror. They're going to send it back out. They shake their heads, and Ricky Craven back out on the track. Will investigate.
Craven's best finish here was in the spring race of '96 when he finished in 9th. Rusty just continues to dominate. Here's a Napa field summary showing you the point standings. Bobby Labonte into the points lead, taking it from Jeff Burton at the moment.
You see Dick Trickle once again about to go allow the lap down to Rusty Wallace.
Jeff Gordon running in 4th position.
Yes, it ever happened. Those guys made some changes during that caution flag period when Jeff made his pit stop, and looks like his DuPont Chevrolet is running a little bit better than it was before the pit stop.
It was awfully tight, as reported in the pits.
Up ahead is Tony Stewart, who is in 3rd. Jerry, what'd they do to Jeff?
Bob, it wasn't a whole lot, but it obviously was enough to make a difference. We reported that they were very tight getting in and through the middle of the corner, and Ned very astutely picked up the fact that he was loose coming up. So what Ray Evernham did was make a very slight air pressure adjustment, and they pulled the fenders out in the front a little bit, and obviously it has helped quite a bit.
Chasing down the 20 car, Tony Stewart, and Stewart is right behind Bobby Labonte, and all the leaders are up here in traffic once again.
Yeah, there were 2 cars running side by side, Dick Trickle and Jerry Nadeau in front of Rusty. He had nowhere to go, just sit there and hope one of them got out in front of the other, and Dick Trickle did get out in front of Nadeau, so now he's passed him, but he still has to pass Trickle.
Down to Bill Weber.
Well, Craven's back on pit road. He's getting left side tires, but it is a transmission problem on his Hollywood Video Ford. So they're underneath the car. They're going to try and fix it. He will be held, I believe, for too fast down pit road. Now Craven wants Mike Hillman to talk to him. They're going to be held by the NASCAR official. The car is back on the ground. Now Craven will accept his penalty, and they're waving him off. They won't let him go. They're going to hold him, and then they'll send Craven either back out or back to the garage.
We're on board now with Tony Stewart, the Home Depot onboard camera, looking back on Jeff Gordon. Tony is 3rd, Jeff is 4th, Mark Martin running in 5th position. Up ahead of those 3, Rusty Wallace, who has led every lap so far. He's about 0.3 of a second ahead of Bobby Labonte. We'll be right back. Cup racing on ESPN today from Bristol Motor Speedway. They drop the green flag, you step on the accelerator, and then the bumping and the banging begins. It happens on the first lap, it happens on the last lap, and it happens all in between. That's the way it is at Bristol on the high banks on the half-mile racetrack. Rusty Wallace continues to lead. He has led all 186 laps so far. He's about 0.7 of a second ahead of Bobby Labonte. And Steve Park is still on the lead lap. Kyle Petty is the driver that is on the move right now. He has just passed Mark Martin and moved into 5th position.
Kyle's car doesn't seem to slow down as much as others as the tires get worn. And as a result, it comes into its own, and he just picks them off one by one and hits on towards the front as he did on the other long green flag run.
Kyle missed 2 races this year, failed to qualify at Vegas and at Texas, but he is impressive here this weekend.
He certainly is.
This is his 33rd race here. Can you believe that?
No, I can't. I remember when he ran his first race down in Daytona. And then his 33rd race at Bristol.
Tony Stewart just passing by Bobby Labonte, taking over second.
Wow, the rookie candidate, former Pep Boys Indy Racing League champion who has made the move to NASCAR Winston Cup, is now second. This is Tony's first Winston Cup race here at Bristol. He did run some Busch races here. Matter of fact, he finished 26th and 21st last year in the 2 Busch races that were held here at Bristol.
And once again, Rusty Wallace has caught Steve Park. And the Pennzoil Chevrolet, once again, does not want to go a lap down. And meanwhile, Rusty is watching those second, third, fourth, all those cars getting closer and closer, and there's just very little he can do about it.
Steve Park is running in the 19th position. He's trying to hang on to the lead lap.
It's costing Rusty about a mile per hour because the cars, Kyle Petty, Martin, those cars are running about a mile per hour faster than Rusty Wallace.
For a taste of the race, let's check out the Jimmy Dean onboard telemetry. Show you the speed and the RPM and the brakes. Look at Stewart trying to get to the inside of Rusty.
Whoa!
Now look at this 16 car, that orange-looking car coming up there. Evidently, he's made a pit stop because he came up past Jeff Gordon and Bobby Labonte on the outside.
Got some new tires.
Yeah, he's 6 laps off the pace, but he's the fastest car out there right now.
Speed dropping from just about 109 and up to about 117, it looks like.
And we see that the RPM was only up to 8,300 that time. Earlier, when Rusty Wallace and clear a racetrack, we saw 8,700 RPMs. And right now, Rusty Wallace looks to be a little defensive. And a lead change. Tony Stewart goes to the lead.
Only the second NASCAR Winston Cup race that Tony Stewart has led. He was in front by 3 laps. Led 3 laps at Atlanta. First time, of course, he has ever led a Winston Cup race here at Bristol, and it gives us our first lead change of the day.
I'm not sure that's good news for Tony Stewart. Because Rusty Wallace has been very patient getting through this traffic with Steve Parks and the other guys. Now, Tony Stewart is going to have to show that same kind of patience. We see Wally Dolan back to Budweiser car, 1 lap down, underneath Elliott Sadler.
That's another lap, Benny. Wally's now 3 laps down.
Wally having a struggle here. Average finish during the 1999 season, almost 24th position. So it's now Tony Stewart in the lead, followed by Rusty Wallace, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, Kyle Petty. They're your top 5, 6 through 10. Martin, Jarrett, Musgrave, Andretti, and Mike Skinner. Tony Stewart in the Home Depot car is the leader of the race, and he is trying as as Rusty Wallace has tried for many laps to put Steve Park a lap down, and Steve tenaciously hangs on. Tony Stewart is leading the NASCAR Winston Cup Rookie of the Year standings by 24 over Sadler. Buckshot Jones and Stanton Barrett also in the Rookie of the Year competition. Right now, he's leading the race.
This is going to really try his patience. As I said a moment ago, getting up being the leader might not be the best thing that could happen to Tony Stewart, because he's got to be very patient, as Rusty has, trying to work his way through these lap cars. And I'm not too sure that Rusty Wallace might not have a problem, because when I look on the board and see his speeds, it doesn't seem to be as fast as the other cars. Jerry Punch, anything going on with Rusty?
Well, Benny, yeah, he's sideways right there, just trying to hang on. Exactly, Benny. Yesterday in happy hour when the track was so slippery, Rusty opted to put a larger front sway bar in and change the left front spring to tighten the car up. Now, the car was perfect at the beginning, but now at 210 laps into the day, the car is starting to get tight. So he's having to back out the throttle and use the steering wheel to get the car to turn. And when he jumps back in the gas, the car wants to jump loose. That's why he's having a little bit of trouble right now getting the car to turn.
See, and that's exactly why the RPM on the telemetry, and Tony Stewart almost lost it as he tried to get alongside Steve Park. But that's exactly why the telemetry was lower this time than earlier when we saw it, because Rusty Wallace's car is not going through the turns nearly as well or running as fast as it was before.
That little bobble by Tony Stewart certainly allowed Rusty and Labonte, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon to all catch up with him. On board with Bobby.
Don't know if we mentioned or not, we see Ernie Irvin there's 196 laps down. He is back out on the racetrack running slowly.
Well, Stewart almost lost it coming off corner 4, just about where Dale Earnhardt had to get out from under him yesterday.
Exactly. Back end got loose, maybe not as loose as Earnhardt's did yesterday, so Tony was able to correct it. Lost some time there, but at least kept in the lead.
A couple of tank slappers, but he gathered it in.
As we watch Tony Stewart, and we keep talking about Steve Park, you know, it looks to me like right now at this point that Steve Park might be as fast as the leaders right now. Here's Dale Earnhardt.
Last rookie to win at Bristol. That occurred in the spring race of 1979. It was Dale Earnhardt. Right now, we've got a rookie lead this race in Tony Stewart.
And he's coming up to put a lap on Bobby Hamilton. Everybody thought Bobby Hamilton was going to be the car to beat here when they unloaded yesterday morning and on Friday morning and started practice. His car looking very, very strong. Had a good qualifying run, but it just hasn't been quite up to par here today. He is running at 18th place.
And Earnhardt going to the inside of the 99 and picking up position 13. Remember, Earnhardt has done this from scratch on the field, started last. Lowe's Field summary shows you the rookie points. And that's where they're running, and the numbers in parentheses indicate where they started.
Right now, Jeff Burton has got a handful of that Exide Ford trying to keep up. His car obviously going away.
Ted Musgrave there in 7th place. He is on the move. A little bit ago, about 15 laps ago, he was over 7 seconds behind. He now has cut it down to 4 seconds. Ted Musgrave is on the move.
Well, an AutoZone on-track interval report will document that, Ned, from 5.1 seconds between himself and Stewart on lap 215 to 4.2 on lap 219.
Yeah, that was just in 4 laps, or 5 laps. He's been cutting 2 to 3/10 of a second a lap off of the lead.
Well, remember when we timed the cars not too long ago, he was fast in, I think, 3 out of 4 laps or something like that. So,
and he seems to be another car like Kyle Petty. We've talked about him, and Steve Park, that their car seems to come in after a while, or it doesn't slow down as much as others. They don't pick up speed. They just don't slow down as much as the others when the tires get worn.
We've got the top 5 cars running right together. You can throw a blanket over them. There they are. Stewart, Wallace, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, and Mark Martin. And not too far behind are Kyle Petty and Ted Musgrave. Back with more live coverage after this. Welcome back to ESPN's live coverage of the Food City 500 from Bristol Motor Speedway, being brought to you by Citgo. You know a neighbor when you see one. By Holiday Inn Express, the smart choice for travelers who want to stay smart. And by the Big New Yorker Pizza from Pizza Hut. Call Pizza Hut now to get the big New York-style pizza at an un-New York price. Well, when you come to Bristol Motor Speedway and sit back and watch a race here, you catch all kinds of images. Everybody watching from the pit area, the garage area. Ray Evernham looking at his driver, Jeff Gordon. And then you even run into Zippy Tracy, who's the gas man on Rusty Wallace's car. Zippy named for the woodchuck who met an untimely demise during one of the Miller Lite commercials.
Yeah, we've got a mess going here. Now, look at Ted Musgrave. He's been able to get by the 44 car Kyle Petty, been able to get by the 6 car Mark Martin. So putting Musgrave up in 5th spot. And he's battling with Jeff Gordon right now, trying to take away the 4th spot.
His car is really working now. Look at him, just gets traction off the corner and zips right on by Jeff Gordon. They were having trouble passing Brett Bodine. Looks like Musgrave's going to move up there.
Wow. And the good thing for Ted Musgrave, he is pitted on the front stretch. So
on board with Mark Martin, who recorded the win earlier this year at Rockingham and comes into this event 6th in points. And the 88 car, Dale Jarrett, now running in 8th spot. And he's closing in on Kyle Petty.
Yeah, he's closed in on the leader. He was, like Musgrave, was over 7 seconds behind at one time. He's now 3 3/4 of a second, so he's cut it down to about half of what he was behind.
And we're looking for Dale Earnhardt, who is now running in 12th position, about 10.5 seconds behind Tony Stewart, the leader of the race, up to 12th from 43rd.
Starting dead last. Steve Parton's been able to get by the 77 car of Robert Presley, put Presley between himself and the leader.
Bobby Labonte now getting pressure from Ted Musgrave. This is the battle for 3rd position. Musgrave, you'll remember, last fall drove in relief for Jimmy Spencer, who had been injured at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Brickyard 400, finished 20th.
See, Musgrave made some pretty good contact with someone. He's on the inside of Labonte trying to take this spot away. And he does, move him up to 3rd spot.
He's got a donut on the side, dead in the front, but that's typical of Bristol.
Oh, yes. As long as it doesn't get worse than that, he'll be okay.
So Ted Musgrave now runs 3rd.
We've been out there a long time on this set of tires. That's why we're seeing all that slipping and sliding.
And Jeremy Mayfield making a pit stop on the backstretch. Watch here. The 1 car going by Jimmy Spencer, taking away a spot. That puts him into 15th.
Yeah, Jamie Spencer's been going backwards. He's about to go a lap down. He was up there. Remember one time we talked about him, he was in 7th place. And just his car just not handling.
Boy, you just can't say enough about Steve Park and how he has been able to keep himself on the lead lap.
Well, Jeff Gordon went very high off of turn 2, and Mark Martin went by him.
Looks like Tony Stewart right now has caught Steve Park and is a lot faster. Look right. Oh, I thought he was going to drive in there. And
the 75 of Ted Musgrave has moved to 2nd.
Moved ahead of Rusty Wallace.
He is able to keep that number 75 right down on the bottom of the racetrack and get traction off the turns, and that is the key. Okay, right on the inside. inside of Robert Presley as the leader still trying to pass that car number 1.
And look out. I believe it's going to happen. On the 248th lap, Steve Park finally goes a lap down.
Didn't quite make it to halfway. He did a great job.
He deserves a round of applause, that's for sure. So we are approaching the halfway point. In just a couple of more laps, we'll reach the 250 lap mark.
$10,000 for him if he can stay out there.
All cars are running. We had a couple of accidents that sent Ricky Rudd and Ernie Irvin behind the wall, but they're back out there, so everybody is still running. And now Jarrett has indeed closed in on Kyle Petty.
It's a battle for the 7th spot. Looks like Kyle has lost all over his handle since the first pit stop.
Yeah, his car was so good for so long, he just moves down to the inside, lets Jarrett go by.
We understand that Kyle is holding his car tight.
Halfway.
Halfway has been reached, and so Tony Stewart picks up 10 grand. Ooh. And a crash in the backstretch. Robert Presley spins.
And Bobby Labonte is very slow. I guess was he involved? It looks like he was.
Looks like the right front tire might be flat.
Oh, he's got damage on the right front. Bristol bruise for Bobby Labonte as the caution comes out for the 3rd time this afternoon.
And Steve Park almost made it once again, but this time he did. Is a lap down. And look at the smoke, the steam out of the 77 car. I know the radiator must be broken. Yes, we see all the water coming down. Here comes Tony Stewart, Ted Musgrave, Rusty Wallace, all the guys coming down pit road.
Here's Bill Weber.
Well, Ted Musgrave is here, and in loud, noisy Bristol, it has been very quiet. Ted Musgrave has been marching toward the front. No changes at all to the chassis setup. Just 4 tires. Jerry has the leader.
We're now working on the left side of his car. They've already changed right side tires, not planning any significant change. And finally, Bobby Labonte limps in with that right front fender down. 75 is up, the 20 is out. Here goes Mark Martin behind. Bobby Labonte now getting right front fender peeled away by his crew. What a tough break for the Interstate Batteries team. They were planning on making a serious chassis adjustment, making an air pressure change and a track bar change because the car was loose. But now he is down and away. Let's check in with John Kernan.
What a great job done by Mike Skinner and his crew. They're in the middle of a 4-tire change now. He also made a chassis adjustment, a slight chassis adjustment on the right rear, but he had moved up into the top 10. That's with that broken shoulder blade. Before the race earlier this morning, I asked him how he was feeling, and he said, so-so. But right now, he must feel pretty good because he's still on the lead lap and in the top 10.
We are under caution here at Bristol Motor Speedway for only the 3rd time this afternoon. It came out just past the halfway mark.
And the 77 car, Robert Presley, loses it coming off turn 2. And Bobby Labonte, no place to go, runs right in the left side of his car. And we talked about Kyle Petty barely getting between Presley and the inside wall.
Yeah, he had to be looking at that wall coming up. We'll take a look at it from Bobby Labonte's car. And Presley gets loose, and there you see him. He clipped him as he went by. And then it looked like he got up into the wall then, too.
And he's still on pit road, Doc.
He came back in, and Jimmy Maker said, let's just cut the fender off and then go so we don't lose a lap. And Bobby said, no, the toe is so messed up, guys. Let's just stay here, lose the lap, and try to fix the toe in. It's going to be very, very difficult to drive. So Bobby Labonte now 1 lap down while they straighten the toe in. Let's go to Bill.
Well, Jimmy Spencer, who really was injured in a hard crash in the closing laps at Texas, has climbed out of his car. He called in a few laps ago and said it hurts all over. Should we get the relief driver ready? And then he said yes, and that was Steve Grissom. And right now, Jimmy is being led by the medical people to a waiting golf cart, and he will be taken to the infield care center and examined there. But Steve Grissom was in his street clothes up until just about 10 laps ago, and Jimmy was slowly falling back through the field, and that's when he called in and said it just hurts all over, and they decided to put Grissom in the car. So Spencer is out, Grissom is in. They'll check him out at the care center, and we'll get you an update.
And so Grissom comes in for another stop as Jimmy Spencer is loaded on the golf cart and is being taken to the infield medical center. 255 laps completed at Food City 500. Back at Bristol. Motor Speedway, NASCAR Winston Cup racing here today, the Food City 500, and we move to Martinsville, where we begin coverage there with mud cold qualifying on Friday at 3. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series will run the Napa 250 at 2 o'clock. Next Saturday, our happy hour coverage is at 5:30. And then Sunday, it's RPM today at 11:30, NASCAR today at 12:30, and the Goodies Body Pain 500 from Martinsville at 1 o'clock. Next Sunday afternoon. RPM tonight will conclude the day's activity at 8 o'clock. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.
Let's check out Keith Martin once again, the right rear tire changer on Sterling Marlin's Coors Light car. He pops those 5 lug nuts off. They slam the other one on there. Ties them up. Runs around to the other side. Goes through the same thing. See how you did compared to the front guy this time. Oop. Green flag.
Now, Rusty Wallace did beat Tony Stewart out of the pit area. Stewart pitted back in about the 4th pit box, whereas Rusty Wallace is right down on the line. And so as soon as they dropped the car off the jack, he was at the line and beat Stewart out. So Rusty is back in the lead after Tony Stewart led 55 laps. Michael Walter, by the way, has been credited with leading 2 laps under the caution.
Big loser on the pit stops was Ted Musgrave. He came in 2nd and came out 6th.
And one reason for Musgrave's slow pit stop, Ned, because Ted got a little bit too close to the wall. See how close he is to the wall? They can't get the jack handle on. They've got to pump it up 3 or 4 times. You're supposed to do that with 1 pump.
That cost him just maybe a 2nd or whatever it was, but anyway, it was put him back to 6th.
Here's the Coke pit summary. Rusty Wallace from 3rd into the lead. Stewart lost a position. Mark Martin gained 1. Jeff Gordon also gaining 1, but Ted Musgrave came in running 2nd, came out in the 6th position. Down to Jerry Punch.
Updating Rusty Wallace's pit stop. We mentioned the fact that the car had gotten a little bit tight. Robin Pemberton decided to go down 1 pound of air in 3 of the 4 tires to make the car turn better. Obviously, it's making a difference. And by the way, the 24-car pit stop right beside him, he had a similar problem with the car being tight in the middle of the groove. They also made an air pressure change for Jeff Gordon. Let's check in with Bill.
Things going well for Dale Jarrett. The car is good, but his foot is hot. They offered to give him a new boot for his foot on his next pit stop that helps resist the heat. He declined, says everything is fine. He told Todd Barrett the car is good in the turns. As for Kyle Petty, his car got too tight. He wanted the same setup on these tires during his 2nd pit stop, but that made the car too tight, so when they changed that time, they went back just a little bit on the tires, and they're hoping that'll loosen up the car. Backstretch to John.
John Andretti had a terrible qualifying run on Friday afternoon, so afterwards, his crew chief Robbie Loomis went to Dr. Doug Hewitt, Kyle Petty's team, because they had qualified 14th in the 1st round and got some help with the shocks and spring combination. So John is running a very similar setup to his teammate Kyle Petty, who he just passed a lap ago, to take a position away from him. And those 2 cars are set up almost exactly alike. John's been making some minor adjustments on his car. Right now, it is one of the fastest cars out on the racetrack, according to his crew.
John Andretti doing a great job, up to 7th, and is pitting on the backstretch. 25-car Wally Dallenbach is being shown 3 laps down in 30th place. He's running there with Kyle Petty, who is 8th.
And Bobby Labonte is 5 laps down. He's out on the racetrack, about to go 6 laps down by the leader. Rusty Wallace has caught him right now. So Bobby's car not up to par. They've got him at least where he can get back out on the racetrack, but he is in 38th position.
Wow. 1st and 2nd, running very close. On board with Tony Stewart. He has run many times on a racetrack like this, an open wheel competition at Winchester and Salem, but I don't think you can really compare the open wheel and the closed wheel cars or the length that he is having to drive here this afternoon. Hey, look at the points changing, and look at Tony Stewart, who's moved up 3 positions and into the top 10 in points right now.
Dale Jarrett's car is off perfectly tight right now. Several cars have passed him. I think he's just letting them go by to find a comfortable spot there to run. So it comes in a little bit later.
It's like he's another car that it takes a few laps to get his car up to speed. See a battle between Mike Skinner, the 31 car, the Lowe's car, and the Caterpillar car, Ward Burton and Jeff Burton right side by side.
9th, 10th, and 11th. Labonte still continues to circulate out there, but very, very slowly, Jerry.
Well, indeed, the crew is actually behind the wall getting some parts and pieces ready if Bobby needs to come back behind the wall. He says the tie rod is buckled and the lower right front ball joint is bent. They're not sure how long the car's going to go. It's vibrating a little bit right now, but they are back behind the wall, laying out some suspension parts to get ready if they would need to come back and fix it.
The battle up front. Just a few car lengths separating Rusty Wallace, who right now has led 221 laps, so he's close to getting the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. There's Mark Martin, who is running in 4th, and Ted Musgrave in 5th. Musgrave's best finish here at Bristol came in this race a year ago when he finished 8th.
And for Butch Mock, who owns that car, the last win for that car was by the late Neil Bonney back in 1988.
Now a Bud race recap. Rusty Wallace has the advantage, now leading 223 of the 280 laps. 3 lead changes and miraculously only 3 caution periods so far. Let's hope that trend continues, averaging speed almost 100 miles an hour. Here are the drivers who have led so far. Michael Waltrip leading 2 under the caution, and only 1 car off the track right now, and that is Robert Presley as a result of the crash that he was involved in a few laps ago. 283 laps complete as it's springtime here in Thunder Valley, and the 140,000 people enjoying the Food City 500. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway, where the Food City 500 is underway. Overhead shots courtesy of the Pennzoil Copter Cam. Well, the caution has just come out once again here at the Speedway as Jerry Nadeau got a little bit sideways in turn number 4 and spun it right in front of the leader, as a matter of fact. But Nadeau did not hit anything and is okay, it looks like. Here's what happened.
There we see the leaders, Rusty Wallace and the 20 car, and Tony Stewart just has to go right to avoid running the back of Rusty Wallace, and luckily avoided the 9 car when he turned right.
Meanwhile, pit stops are once again occurring as those on the lead lap here on the front stretch come in. Bill Weber.
Ted Musgrave gives him a little more room between his car and the wall. He was loose on this set of tires. The Tony Stewart is on pit road. Here's Jerry.
Last time Tony Stewart was on pit road, he had exactly the same pit time as Rusty Wallace. But Rusty beat him out. He's further down pit road. Let's check back with Bill.
Left side's going on the Musgrave car. He's got Petty and the 88 behind him. The 88's away toward Jerry.
Stewart is down. Gordon is down. But Rusty Wallace, by having the first pit stall, will beat them all. Let's go back to John Kernan.
On the backstretch, John Andretti moved into the 6th position. He's in for his pit work. They've already completed the work on the right side, but Ward Burton's going to win the race out of pit road back here. And it looks like he might beat Rusty Wallace to the line. They might have only taken right side tire. Ward Burton with John Andretti gets forward, no adjustments.
Scramble on coming out of the pit area, and Nadeau is spun again.
Dick Treckle got into him as they were coming off the 4th turn, I guess coming out of the pits. It was right in front of the leaders again.
Wow. Here it is.
Now, this is the first spin. This is not the second spin. Rusty goes left and Tony Stewart goes to the right.
Boy, that was very, very close for the front 2.
Live shot of Keith Martin. Right rear tire. Jordan Marlin's guard gets him tight. Gang goes around the left side. Take the left nuts off. Jack goes up, pull that tire off. Jam the other one on there, pick up the gun. That's how fast it is. Once again, the front tire was already finished.
You know, you wonder if Ward Burton maybe only took on 2 tires back there, because he came out of the pits first, beat them out, which would have been a good strategy. Haven't been out there that long on this set of tires, so good strategy.
This is Tony Stewart's view of the incident that happened just ahead of him with Nadu.
Man,
and this is how it looked like from the Rusty Wallace on board, as Stewart came right up on him, took a hard right, and missed hitting him. Wow. You're right, Ned. 2 tires for Ward Burton, and he is shown as the leader here at the Food City 500 as we are under caution, approaching the 300 lap mark. We'll take a break and be right back with more live coverage from Bristol.
City.
2 laps from the 300 lap mark here at Bristol Motor Speedway in the Food City 500. And now you can drive on the information superhighway with NASCAR online at www.nascar.com. You can follow the progress of your favorite driver real time during the race. Plus, you can get the latest news and information on all NASCAR series at www.nascar.com. And of course, you can get the latest information from the entire world of motorsports on RPM tonight. That's at 7:30 tonight, as we'll get a recap of this event. Also, the Formula One race, the Grand Prix of Brazil, and they had a big open test session at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and today. And you'll hear all about that tonight at 7:30 on The Deuce. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. Here's Jerry Punch as Bobby Labonte's behind the wall.
And NASCAR had talked to Bobby Labonte and asked him to try to pick up the pace, but he just couldn't drive it any faster with this damage on the right front. Now, they peeled away the right front fender. Jimmy Makar and company are in there looking basically what it is. It's the gusset in the lower right front A-frame, the A-arm that's bent. They've gone in there, they've heated it up and tried to mold it, try to pull it back into position rather than changing the lower A-frame, which would take quite a while, taking all the suspension parts off. They're just going to try to straighten it. They've got the toe in straight, but the car simply will not turn in the corners, and it vibrates so much he can't get up to speed. It came back. It's basically a temporary fix to try to get him back on the racetrack and get as many laps as possible and try to maintain as many of those very valuable NASCAR Winston Cup points.
This is what happened to Bobby Labonte earlier in this event, as we're on board with him.
Robert Presley, the 77 car, spins coming off the corner right in front of Bobby Labonte. And, you know, I don't believe in luck a lot when it comes to racing, but at Bristol, there is such a thing as bad luck, and that was the case.
Here are the points as they stand right now. He was second in points. He's dropped to third. He was just 2 points behind Jeff Burton. Now he's 111 points behind. Bobby Labonte was also, going into this race, the only driver to lead a lap in every race so far this year. He has not led yet today. And we go to Bill Weber.
Yeah, just to update the Ted Musgrave situation, his car's been perfect all day except for that brief run just then on that set of tires. He was too loose. They made no chassis adjustments. They just put on 4 tires. They're hoping it was simply that set of tires that made him loose. We're all about to find out together.
13 cars are on the lead lap as the green comes out. 303 to resume our competition. Now, Ward Burton only took 2 tires.
A little bump of the leader, but getting early, and Ward Burton almost lost it between 1 and 2.
It'll be interesting to see if those 2 tires, if they'll hold him well enough to stay down on the inside and hold on to Rusty Wallace and all those others.
Ward Burton was 10th when he went in, took the 2 tires, came out first. Now, Jeff Burton, his brother, did the same thing. He only took 2 tires and gained 6 positions.
Now, meanwhile, John Andretti was running 6th before the caution. When he came out, he took 4 tires. He was running 11th.
Kenny Irwin is just 1 lap down, running in 14th spot, and is trying desperately to get it back, and it looks like he will.
And here's a battle for the lead as Rusty Wallace goes alongside Ward Burton and put the Miller Lite Ford Taurus back in the lead.
And Tony Stewart will try to get that inside line and move Ward back to third.
Buckshot Jones in the wall hard in turn 3.
Another caution flag comes out.
And Kenny Irwin is going to get that lap back.
Yes, he is. Looks like there may be some fluid there in the third and fourth turns, but still, Kenny Irwin gets the lap back, and so now he gets to go around the whole racetrack.
So that'll make 14 cars on the lead lap.
And that's why those guys fight so hard to get by that leader, because in case the caution flag comes out, and at Bristol Motor Speedway, folks, caution flags breed caution flags.
Because they get them all bunched up together after one, and there's the net down on Buckshot's car, moving around in there, so hopefully everything's okay as far as he's concerned, but his race car is a mess.
He was the highest finishing rookie at Las Vegas in Winston Cup competition. In the Busch races here last year, he's never driven a Winston Cup car here at Bristol, but in the Busch races here last year, he finished 28th and 8th. He started second in the spring Busch race here at Bristol. Here's Bill.
Well, a surprising move here, but Kyle Petty did not like the set of tires that he had on his car, and they only ran a couple of laps. They figured they were only going to go back to about 13th or 14th on the lead lap, so they're going to come in and put on 4 fresh tires and then send it back out. Kenny Irwin's also going to hit pit road. His crew chief told him to catch up to the field and come in and get your 4 tires. So Kyle Petty and the 28 car of Kenny Irwin will come in the rear of the field, but both will have 4 fresh tires.
Well, they could only get 2 on the 28, Bill, because the pace car was coming, since he was at the back of the pack, the pace car was coming off the turn. So they only got 2 because he can stop the next time and get the other.
We're not caught up enough.
You heard his crew say, we're not caught up enough. You come in again.
So Kenny Irwin will be coming in again and getting 2 more tires, but he is back on the lead lap. Caution for the Buckshot Jones accident here at Bristol. Back at Bristol Motor Speedway in the Food City 500. It rained here earlier. In fact, it delayed the start of the race, but we've got a nice, bright, sunshiny, and comfortable day to complete the race. We're under caution because of this incident that occurred on lap 306.
This is onboard Dick Trickle, Jimmy Dean onboard camera. That's Buckshot on the inside, Johnny Benson on the outside. And it looked like Buckshot thought he had him cleared.
Looked that way because it looked like he went up just a little bit, and Johnny flipped him and spun him the wrong way, and you can see the damage on the car.
Meanwhile, as he gets stacked up once again for a restart, Kenny Schroeder of the Skoll Chevrolet is on the inside. He's the lap down in 15th spot. He's trying to do exactly the same thing Kenny Irwin just did a moment ago. Get in front of that leader. Hope the caution flag comes out. Get a lap back.
Pennzoil Conquer Cam shows you the stadium here at Bristol Motor Speedway. 140,000 plus here this afternoon to see the first of 2 NASCAR Winston Cup races that will be run here at Bristol Motor Speedway this year. Well, tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, it's National Hockey Night on ESPN as the Phoenix Coyotes and the Anaheim Mighty Ducks go at it. You can see it all on the Deuce tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.
Okay, we're about ready to go again. Just give them the signal for 1 lap. And you'll get the green flag this time around.
Rusty Wallace has gotten the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps this afternoon.
And he's kept a lot of other drivers from getting bonus laps too, from being, just 5 for leading a lap because he's been out there so much. This time, he and Tony Stewart both cleared the lap track going into turn 1. Jeff Gordon now trying to get around Kenny Schrader.
Jeff Burton, Dale Jarrett, Ted Musgrave, John Andretti, and Mike Skinner. Those are the top 10. The other cars on the lead lap: Dale Earnhardt, Michael Andretti, Kyle Petty, Michael Waltrip, sorry, the 44 of Kyle Petty, and Kenny Irwin. Those 14 cars on the lead lap. been basically Wallace and Stewart show today, hasn't it?
Tell you what, Tony Stewart is doing a terrific job today.
He has a great race car and has driven it well. A very impressive rookie run here.
Last lap, Tony was just a little bit faster than Rusty, but that lap he was just a little bit slower. Fastest car that particular lap was Jeff Gordon.
He seems to be closing in a little bit. Those two cars got a good jump on him on the restart, but Gordon now is beginning to close that distance. He hadn't made it. If I could have been get those 5 bonus points. He's still moving a little closer every lap.
That's a real shock, isn't it? Here we are, 180 laps to go, and Jeff Gordon faster on the racetrack.
Some things never change, do they? During the 1990s, he has led more than 7,000 laps on the short tracks. He has 15 wins during the 90s, 41 top 5s, and 54 top 10s in 68 races. Oh, some contact between Mark Martin and Ward Burton, but it put Mark in 4th place.
Jeremy Mayfield dives on the inside. Jeremy's 3 laps down.
He had a flat tire and made a green flag pit stop. He had gone a lap down early in the race. His car was just not handling, and also starting back near the rear of the field, and then had a flat tire, so that's what got him so far behind.
Rusty Wallace seems to...
Joe Nemechek has just touched the wall. He's going very slow off turn 2 down the backstretch. There'll be a scramble of cars getting into that corner, but he just gets up out of their way.
Nemechek 5 laps down in the 34th position.
Not one of his better days either. It's a tough day for him.
So he'll enter his pit on the backstretch. Meanwhile, on the track, Rusty begins to weave his way through some of the disabled cars, including Presley and Bobby Labonte. Let's get a taste of the race by checking the telemetry on Rusty Wallace again. We'll see if those RPMs have improved, BP.
Yeah, we're looking for about 87, 8,800 RPMs. No, just about 84 that time. So the pace right now is not quite as fast. Rusty Wallace, that lap only ran 114 mile per hour average. That time he was at 115 miles per hour, but still 8,400 RPMs right now, the maximum RPM we're seeing on Rusty's car.
Well, Jerry, as we said earlier, it's basically been a battle between Rusty and Tony this afternoon.
Exactly, Bob. You know, if there's such thing as a rule at Bristol Motor Speedway, the old rule was you never bring your best car. You bring a car you don't mind throwing away. That's not the case here today. Rusty's car had never turned a lap in competition until he came here on the track in Friday to practice. And the car number 20 was a brand new car a month ago that Joe Gibbs Racing built and brought here 3 weeks ago for their young driver, Tony Stewart, to practice. So the cars running 1-2 are brand spanking new.
We're on board with Tony Stewart right now as he is just a few car lengths, 0.3 of a second to be specific, behind Rusty Wallace. 332 laps completed. It's Gordon, Martin, Burton, and Jarrett behind Wallace and Stewart. The whole complexion of the race can change in an instant here at Bristol Motor Speedway. There isn't a fan sitting down right now. They have risen because there is incredible damage to Jeff Gordon's car, and Tony Stewart has also been involved in an incident up in turn number 1 that would really began when Jerry Nadeau spun and backed into the wall. Ray Evernham still very calm and content right now, but boy, Jeff's got a lot of damage.
I'm not sure content's a good word.
Well, he appears to be.
Collected might be a good word. Calm and collected. There's Jerry Nadeau, a lot of damage. Going down in the corner, as Jerry Nadeau goes down the corner and just a little bit too close to Bobby Labonte, and he goes up, backs in the wall, and look at There we see the 58 car. The 58 car of Ricky Craven spins into the 20 car of Tony Stewart. And Jeff Gordon, I guess, ran into 77.
And look at Rusty Wallace, just missed the accident. It was very, very close for Rusty. There he comes through, but Stewart did not survive, neither did Jeff Gordon, as he got bounced around by hitting Presley, and Darrell Waltrip also was involved. From Tony Stewart's onboard camera, we'll see how it looked from his vantage point in the Home Depot on board.
He was doing okay. He was going to miss that wreck, Ned.
Yes, he was. I guess he got tapped from behind.
Yes, he did.
Looking back for Rusty.
You see Ricky Craven spin right there and run into the 20 car is what hit Tony.
And from Mark Martin's onboard camera.
Boy, he gets her word down. Said, okay, just give me an opening. The spotter guided him right through there. Just on the gas to let me get out of here.
Jeff Gordon has been in the pits and is coming back in again, Jerry.
All right, Ray Evernham decided to go ahead and call Jeff Gordon down pit road. He said the worst thing that can happen is we can go to the back of the longest line. He said, guys, we may get lucky here. It may only be some significant sheet metal damage. He's telling the guys, we're going to take the nose off, push down on the sheet metal. Do not tear it away. We do not want to lose those brake ducts if we tear out the sheet metal away, and those are tie wrapped to the inside of the sheet metal. He said, pull, push down, push down. He said, what with the championship, Ray Evernham is incredibly poised and composed, talking to his driver. Right now, he is telling Jeff Gordon, we're going to be okay, young guy. We're going to be okay. Come back in and work more on the finish. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Pit stops, and Musgrave is on pit road. This could possibly be their last green flag stop. They may be able to make it from here. Rusty Wallace is also on pit road. 4 tires going on Musgrave's car. Behind him, Dale Jarrett has already left his pit stall. It's a long stop for the 75. 9 years away, Kyle Petty has 4 tires. He heads back out. John Kernan.
Left side tires going on Ward Burton's cars. They decided last time they did the right side tires, change them. They didn't work too well when he got back out of the racetrack, so they decided to go ahead with 4 tires on this stop. And like Bill said, if we happen to go green the rest of the way, they don't have to stop again. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Pit road a moment ago. Ray Evernham said, do not pass, do not move up the pit. That will cost us time in the pits. Stay in line, stay in line. The biggest thing they want to do right now is put a big tape patch over the right front where that brake duct is. They thought they may have gotten the radiator when he first spun and came around with the front end damage. They did not. They were very, very fortunate. This team already had pre-made tape patches before the race even began to put on the front of the car in case of a problem just like this. Now they've got to have Jeff go because the pace car is coming across the start-finish line.
So just make a note, folks. This is happening on lap 346. Once again, Jeff Gordon in a problem here with the car, having been involved in an accident. But we'll see where he can finish in this event. He is still on the lead lap, and so is Tony Stewart, and both of those cars were very, very strong in the first 340 laps. And these are the type of things that can win you a championship and can lose you a championship. And although it's early in the season, every driver is thinking about that championship. Just about ready to go back to racing. Mark Martin is in the lead, and how did he get there? Well, some excellent pit work.
Yeah, they changed 4 tires, and here he comes down pit road. Rusty's still up on the jack, and Mark Martin beats him out. Kenny Irwin also made a good pit stop. He's in 3rd place now.
Now we're back to racing. Mark Martin has the lead, but Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart were afraid to pass cars on the caution flag, and there's only 14 cars on the lead lap. They must be running 20th right now. 30th maybe. And lead champ Rusty Wallace goes to the front.
Boy, it didn't take him long.
It did not take him long at all.
He's had not the best race car all day. Certainly one of the 2 best race cars. You
know, Valvoline is paying $20 to the big brothers and big sisters of America. For every lap that Mark Martin leads, he has led 8 laps here today before he lost it. Going into this race, already big brothers and big sisters had benefited to the tune of over $63,000. There's Kenny Irwin, who is in 3rd spot, and right behind him is Dale Jarrett. Remember, that 28 car of Kenny Irwin has not had an easy afternoon. He was, I guess, an oil fitting came off. Was that
came loose and had an oil leak that was causing a caution flag, actually.
Bill Weber has a report on Dale Jarrett, who's right behind Kenny.
And that caution flag helped out the 88 because Dale Jarrett had just told his crew a few laps before the yellow that his car was way too tight. They went up on the air pressure in the right rear tire, had an 18-second pit stop, and sent TJ back out to John Kerner.
Back here on the backstretch, Dale Earnhardt has moved all. Remember, he had to start the race from the back of the field in the back of the car. He's moved all the way up to 7th place. That last caution was a blessing in disguise for Earnhardt, but it almost got him into trouble. That set of tires as the two teammates, the 88 and 28, race side by side. And that set of tires for Earnhardt were not... The car just didn't want to run on him, so he needed the caution. But then, when the accident happened, his teammate Mike Skinner checked up front of him. Earnhardt got in the back of him and almost wrecked them both, but no significant damage to his car. He seems to like this set of tires.
The 22, the 3, and the 99 are all battling for position. That's 6th, 7th, and 8th. Boy, it has been a good race for Dale Earnhardt. Imagine what he'd be doing if he was pitting on the front stretch. Jerry, meanwhile, has a report on Tony Stewart, who's back in 13th.
Guys, Tony may have dodged a bullet here. They're very, very minimal sheet metal damage on the right front of the car. They said the fenders were not rubbing. They put a little bit of tape on the nose. Tony said the steering wheel had not moved off of center, meaning there was no problem with the front end settings or the toe end. So Tony may have dodged a big one over there. The car running very well again right now.
Right now, Ted Musgrave is trying to get around Kenny Irwin for the 4th position, and he's going to be able to do it, I believe.
Kenny Schrader is a lap down to the 28 car. Kenny Schrader currently in 15th spot.
And with Kenny Irwin caught on the outside, he is going to lose a position to Ward Burton, probably to Earnhardt, and maybe Jeff Burton.
That outside, the train will go by on the inside.
And here comes Kyle Petty, also up to take the 8th position.
And there's John Andretti trying to get on the inside. Oh. Kenny Irwin finally gets back down to the bottom of the racetrack, right in front of John Andretti.
I believe that was one of those 2 tire changes that Kenny Irwin made there, because he came out in 3rd. He was running back about 8th and 9th before that pit stop.
John Andretti was the fastest 2nd round qualifier. Best finish here came in this race, or the fall race rather, 1997, 11th. There's Tony Stewart, who is in 12th position.
Right behind him is Michael Waltrip in the 13th spot, and Jeff Gordon, ever seen DuPont car, is in 14th spot. He's the last car on the lead lap.
You can see the damage on the Gordon car from Michael Waltrip. Look at him come up on the back bumper of Michael Waltrip's car.
That's ugly.
That is really ugly. That's an ugly race car.
I don't know that it's hurt the performance of the car that much.
Well, you can't imagine why it wouldn't, though, because they run so fast here on the straight. Even though it's a half-a-mile racetrack, they just going about. What, you get up 135, 140 on the straightaway, and so it's got to make the car have a little bit of lift, it looks like, going into the corners.
Now, if we were at Talladega, where we will be 2 weeks from today, that'd be a real problem.
Oh, yeah, big problem. You're right.
Rusty Wallace has lengthened his lead over Mark Martin to just a little more than a second. There is the interval as we look back from Rusty to Mark, with Jarrett, Musgrave, and Burton, the top 5 with little over 100 laps to go.
The hassle about it.
5 Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Curtin, Bill Weber, and Dr. Jerry Punch back at Bristol Motor Speedway. The Food City 500, 377 laps old. Darrell Waltrip has just lost another lap. Rusty Wallace is the leader of the race, and he's just about 2 seconds now ahead of Mark Martin. Here's Jerry Punch.
Thanks, Bob. Rusty Wallace and one driver hope this race stays green to conclusion. Based on the calculations in their pits here a moment ago, Rusty's next pit stop would come on lap 510. Of course, we only run 500, so he's good to go.
Jeff Gordon passes the 31 car of Mike Skinner, and that is for position. So move him up into 12th position, Jeff Gordon.
Tony Stewart just got by Mike Skinner just a couple of laps ago.
Now Gordon is running 12 3/10 seconds behind Rusty Wallace, which is about 2/3 to 3/4.
Here's a couple of guys that have raced together for years and years in the short tracks, even in the go-karts back in Indiana. Tony Stewart and Kenny Irwin. They battle for position there. The points as of right now in the Hardee's Field summary. Rusty up 3 positions. Tony Stewart has dropped out of the top 10, but still moves up 1 spot to 12th.
Kenny Irwin, I see. Ernie Irvin, boy, did he get hurt today, losing 8 spots. And look at Jeff Burton going by Ted Musgrave. Musgrave, one of the best cars earlier on. Now losing the handle.
Yeah, he's lost the handle, baby. That set of tires just isn't working for him.
Here's Dale Earnhardt now going to 6th.
And Kyle Petty running good still. 8th position.
Now we have Irwin, Stewart, and Gordon right together, nose to tail. It's 10th, 11th, and 12th.
They're just about a full straightaway ahead of Preston Wallace, who is coming up in a hurry back there. They're running in heavy traffic amongst themselves, and Rusty is beginning to catch the back of the pack now. He'll probably have to slow down a little bit as he passes some of those cars.
Bill has a report on Kenny Irwin.
Well, they fought so hard to get back up to the front, and then on that pit stop, we're told they only took 2 tires, and that's affected the handling characteristics of the car. So Kenny Irwin is slipping back in the field.
Yeah, they might. We'll wish they had taken on 4 tires because they were pitting under the caution, and they might lose a lap here under the green.
Jeff Gordon on the inside of Tony Stewart. Again, these cars don't look very pretty, but they're running okay.
Hard to believe that they'll run that good.
Uh-oh, and there's contact between now Skinner and Stewart. Stewart lifted out of the low groove into the high groove and lost the spot. Tony back to 13th now.
I believe he's got a left rear tire flat. I believe that the contact has cut the left rear, and things are just getting worse for Tony Stewart's Home Depot Pontiac.
After an incredible run early in the race, here's how it happened.
Jeff Gordon gets on the inside, going down the corner. Tony Stewart comes down, tries to block that spot, but Mike Skinner goes on up, tries to take the spot away. They make contact.
Here's Jerry.
And Tony Stewart does bring that Pontiac down pit road. The Home Depot crew not going to work. What a tough break. Flat left rear tire down on the inner liner. They put the tire back on. Show him the jet. He is down and away.
And of course, a green flag pit stop means you lose at least 1 lap. Tony has gone 2 laps down, and Rusty Wallace moves through traffic now once again.
Yeah, he was in some heavy traffic as he ran down. He was setting sail when he was out there by himself with no traffic around him, but now he has to carefully pick his way through there.
Just put Elliott Sadler 3 laps down. Elliott in 25th. There is the tire off of Tony Stewart's car, the one that was flattened contact with Mike Skinner. Jerry?
Let's show you the contact here as I see the tire here on the inside. You see where the valve stem should be protruding right here. You see where the contact was in the scraping with Skinner. The valve stem has been sheared away, and that's why the tire is flat. Well, Tony Stewart, after a great beginning, has a tough ending here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Back with more of the Boot City 500 from Thunder Valley in just a moment.
ESPN's coverage of the Boot City 500 from Bristol Motor Speedway is being brought to you by Jimmy Dean, America's favorite sausage and proud sponsor of the number 30 Jimmy Dean Pontiac. By the more than 2,500 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by Quaker State for protection beyond 3,000 miles under any driving conditions. Well, we're less than 100 laps now from the finish of this race. Rusty Wallace with a 2.86 second lead over Mark Martin. Dale Jarrett is running in third position and is definitely closing in on Mark Martin.
He had been closing in on Rusty Wallace until he and Martin both got in some heavy traffic. Of course, Rusty had gone through that same traffic, so maybe that's why they had closed in on him.
Our fourth place car is Jeff Burton.
He's 4.79 seconds behind Rusty.
Musgrave, the Polaris Sport Taurus, having a good day. He's in fifth spot. There he is, the yellow car.
Now, we saw some cars pass him. He's passed, including Ward Burton and some others. He's passed them back now. So it seems like the longer he runs, we talked about that before, the better his car gets, or really it don't slow down as much as the others. So it looks like it's coming in for him.
Ward Burton is running in sixth. There's Kyle Petty back there in seventh position.
Kyle definitely having the best run of the year for his car.
He's been in the top 10 all day. His best finish this year was seventh at Daytona. Here's Dale Earnhardt.
He's in eighth spot.
Yep. One of those guys pitting on the backstretch, but in the top 10. John Andretti runs in ninth. The 20 car Tony Stewart now 2 laps down in 22nd position.
But you can see he's still very, very fast.
Dale Jarrett not only caught but passed Mark Martin, so put DJ second.
That's the farther step he's been so far today.
On board to Briggs and Stratton. On board camera with Michael Walter. Going down in turn one as he follows that second and third place cars of Dale Jarrett and Mark Martin. You ever see what happened a little bit ago? Dale Jarrett gets coming off turn 4. Mark Martin goes a little bit high. DJ just drives under and takes that spot away.
See, Michael Walter was in that picture there. Michael has now gone a lap down. He stayed in the lead lap for a long, long time. He's 13th now.
12 cars on the lead lap. The interval between first and second is shrinking. It has gone from 3.3 to 2.7 seconds in 5 laps.
And Rusty still in heavy traffic, coming up on a couple of tough customers there at Mike Skinner and Kenny Irwin.
Well, Skinner, the last car on the lead lap in 12th position, so he's going to try desperately to stay on the lead lap. And it could come down to working traffic here.
The problem Rusty has right now, as the leader, all these cars that are in the lead lap are wanting to stay there, and they're going to race him. Once they get by, they will not race Dale Jarrett that hard, and he comes up behind them because they're already a lap down.
Exactly.
Damage has already been done.
There's Bill Elliott looking back at Dale Jarrett as he comes up on them. He's caught a couple of cars running side by side there at the moment.
Bill Elliott is 3 laps down in 24th position. Not the day that Bill had hoped for.
There's David Green. 41 car as Bill Elliott moves over. Let's DJ go on the inside. Here comes Mark Martin. Both these cars will go by.
And Jeff Burton's close pretty quick.
Good job. You're catching this new car.
Dale Jarrett as well.
I think I heard Todd Parrott tell DJ he was catching that 2 car.
Yeah.
A little loose coming off the corner. Let's see if the interval continues to shrink. It's 2.27 seconds right now, separating first and second. Rusty continues to be caught in in this traffic. He has lapped Mike Skinner and now is trying to put the 28 car a lap down.
See, Ward Burton's been able to get by Ted Musgrave's car. Here comes Kyle Petty trying to do the same thing. Kyle still getting off those corners awfully well.
That last lap, he was the fastest. I'm sure he isn't going to be this lap because he is caught in the traffic, but Kyle continues to have a very fast race car. It's down to 1.96 seconds now between first and second as Rusty tries to get to the inside of Kenny Irwin. Does. Puts him a lap down. 10 cars now in the lead lap. Running in 10th is Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon is probably 6 or 7 seconds ahead of our leader, Rusty Wallace.
John Andretti, fastest that lap. He's 8.8 seconds behind. Closing it in just very slightly, but we still have quite a few laps to run. So this race is far from over, although Rusty is dominated, leading 349 of the 425 laps so far. Dale Jarrett is definitely closing in on Rusty Wallace. 75 laps to go in the Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway. They're the top 10. We'll be right back. Reached the 7th race of the 1999 season, the short track season beginning here at Bristol Motor Speedway today. And there's an overhead shot of this magnificent facility nestled in the mountains in the northeast part of Tennessee. And the Pennzoil copter cam is in the crystal clear blue skies now that earlier produced some rain and delayed the start of this race by just a little bit. But then the skies cleared off and we've had a beautiful, beautiful day. 436 laps completed, and Rusty Wallace leads Dale Jarrett by 2.5 seconds. There is Rusty battling the traffic.
Rusty pulled away a little bit when he got out through some traffic. Jarrett had to go through it. Now Rusty's in traffic again. Now Jarrett will cut that down probably under 2 seconds this time. 1.86 as a matter of fact. But Jarrett had to go through it. And that's what's been happening here for the last 50 laps.
And you say, well, a car like Rusty Wallace is much faster than these other cars. That's true, but just catching these cars and past them, you have to do it at the right place. You just can't go in inside when the fellow might not know you're there. It's difficult passing at Bristol.
Wally Hollenbach in the 25 car, 6 laps down now, 30th position. And we're on board with Wally, who started in 15th position. Goes Rick Mast in the 98.
Kenny Wallace, the Square D car. He's 19th spot, a couple laps down.
Give you a taste of the race, not necessarily with a car who's running faster than anybody else. We'll compare what he's doing with what we've seen for Rusty Wallace.
8,000 RPMs is what we saw as the maximum RPM as DJ goes by. About 7,800 that time, and about 3/4 of the brake pedal used.
Down to about 93 miles an hour minimum and about 125 maximum for.
That would be quite different from Rusty Wallace when we look at him. Although he's in traffic.
We'll compare those speeds to Rusty Wallace to see what kind of RPM, what kind of miles per hour we see. Although as he passes Joe Nemechek, it will slow the car down somewhat. About 8,200 RPMs. Now, if he catches this traffic, this lap, all this straightaway, ought to have a little bit more RPM. No, did not.
Of course, there could be a difference in gearing in the cars as far as RPMs are concerned. And we know Rusty is running faster, but maybe the RPM's not that much higher because of perhaps the difference in gearing.
And these cars, after they change tires, run a speed of about 116 mile per hour average. Now Rusty Wallace is down to 110 mile per hour average. As Robert Presley goes up the racetrack, gets out of his way. As as the sun gets hotter, as the racetrack gets warmer, and these tires get more and more laps on them, they have a tendency to slow down, as Rusty Wallace is now.
Less than 53 laps to go in this race.
Now Dale Jarrett's only a second and a quarter behind Rusty Wallace, but he's got to get by Rick Mast. He's got to get by David Green. And there you check out Rusty 17.2, 17.5, and DJ, the slowest lap he had was 17.3. Very consistent.
Very consistent run for Dale Jarrett, and really only one bad lap there for Rusty Wallace, obviously when he encountered some traffic. Now with just a little more than 50 laps to go, it continues to be Rusty Wallace leading the Food City 500 over Dale Jarrett and Mark Martin. It's been a dominating performance this afternoon by Rusty Wallace. He so far has led 384 laps. But behind him, he has some drivers that are battling it out for position. Look at this. There's Dale Earnhardt, the 43 of John Andretti. They're battling for position. Jeff Gordon is on that lap. Now, the 31 and the 7 are not on the lead lap, but they're battling for position.
Exactly right. Skinner and Michael Waltrip. Also, Ward Burton's in that group, racing with Jeff Gordon for the 9th spot.
And Ward Burton has finished in the top 10 only once here in 10 previous events. So he is now on a good pace in 10th position.
Jeff Gordon finally gets on the inside of Mike Skinner.
Jeff Burton has moved into 3rd position, passing his teammate Mark Martin. And the points as of now moves Dale Jarrett up a spot.
Rusty Wallace moves up 4 spots.
Wow. Mayfield down 3. Dale Earnhardt moving up a couple. Tony Stewart up 1. Earlier in the race, he was running second to Rusty Wallace in the top 10, but because of the accidents that he's been involved in, he's now running in 20th position.
Rusty coming up on a couple of cars running side by side. That's going to cost him some time.
It's been a dominating performance by Rusty here this afternoon, but by no means the most dominant, because in this race in 1973, Cale Yarborough led from green to checkered, led all 500 laps. That is incredible in a place like this. We're coming down to the finish. Less than 35 laps remain until the checkered flag this afternoon. Will Rusty be able to hold on for the victory, his first of 99? 1999, up to this point, it's been a domination of the Hendrick and the Roush teams. Jeff Gordon winning at Daytona. Mark Martin also taking the checkered flag at Rockingham. Jeff Gordon winning again at Atlanta. Jeff Burton, his second win at Darlington. And then Terry Labonte a couple of weeks ago at Texas. But here today, it's been the Penske South team of Rusty Wallace that has been in front most of this event. The caution just came out moments ago. Steve Parks spinning up in turn number 2. The caution is out, and
the pit road is not open yet. Pit road is not open. Here we see Steve Parks, the 1 car, going down in the corner, and looks like he gets bapped. Yes, he does, by Kenny Schrader in the 33 car. Around goes Park, goes up, and really doesn't hit the wall. Not a lot of sheet metal damage.
That happened right in front of the leaders. You see Rusty Wallace there. He goes down the inside. Dale Jarrett going by down on the inside. A lot of things have happened right in front of the leaders here today.
They both hit the apron of the racetrack and avoided the spin in number 1.
All right, we're set up now for another round of pit stops. And don't forget the 99 car, which is 3rd right now, is pitted on the backstretch. Here comes Rusty Wallace and Dale Jarrett. Down to John Kernan.
Dale Jarrett will be the first in his pit stop. 4 tire change, 1 can of fuel. They put a ½ pound in the left rear tire. The work going on the right side now as Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin are further down in their pits. Further down pit road, Mark's guys are on the right side. Let's go to Bill Weber. Chassis adjustment for Mark Martin and 4 tires. They clean the windshield around to the left side. Then they'll send Martin back out of the racetrack. Jarrett.
½ pound left front for Rusty Wallace. 4 tires. He is down to the way. Problem with Jarrett. Let's go back up to his pit.
Jerry, they had a problem getting the lug nuts loose on the left front tire, so that slowed the pit stop down by a couple of seconds. Disappointment for this crew.
John, the problem was on the right front. They had trouble getting the lug nuts back on. It took him a while to get around to the left front. The left rear tire changer had his tire off before the left front tire man ever got around to his position. 24-second pit stop.
Both John Andretti pitted on the backstretch and Jeff Burton also pitted back there, have made their stops and now rejoined the line. Rusty Wallace looks like is going to be the leader again when we go back to competition. Mark Martin second and Jarrett third. The green flag shouldn't be too far away. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Boy, the intensity of pit stops, and when something goes wrong, you blame yourself. But hey, keep the spirit up, buddy.
Front tire change on Dale Jarrett's car had a little bit of a problem.
But fortunately, it only cost him one position.
Yes.
Normally, a pit stop that long would cost him a lot more than that under caution, but the fact that there were not that many on the front stretch that are still on the lead lap, and also those that were behind him other than Mark Martin, they were pretty far behind him. It took them a while to get to their pits.
Now Todd Parrott saw that right front tire changer was kind of down in the dumps, and he came down and said, hey, just trying to find out what was going on. Gave him a pep talk, make sure that he was up for the next one. Got to assess the situation so it won't happen again.
Exactly right. All right, cars are lined up 2 by 2. You see DJ, Ford credit car, back in third spot.
Now the difference in starting back there, Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace will probably clear Brett Ledine going into turn 1. Mark Martin might 2. It'll be tough for DJ to do that, so he's going to lose a good bit of time.
Go.
18 laps to go.
Well, the 11 car didn't get a good start, and all 3 of the cars were able to get by.
The 11 is Brett Bodine, who's 3 laps down in 23rd. There's Andretti and Burton running back there in the heavy traffic.
As you see, 17 laps to go. And we said Mark Martin, this is his 25th year of racing. Started on a little dirt track back in Arkansas, and I'm sure he was running about 20 lap features. About 25 years ago, Mark, that's what it is right now, a 20-lap feature to the end.
And he and Rusty Wallace pulling away from Dale Jarrett. DJ's car just won't go on new tires. He has to run a while before it really comes in.
At Independence County Speedway, April 12, 1974, Locust Grove, Arkansas, Mark Martin finished 3rd in his heat race, finished 6th in the feature, and won $56.
He's going to win a whole lot more than that today.
He passed that 2 car.
And the ironic thing is, the number on his car back in 1974, 2.
Hey,
and
on a run.
Martin took a look.
Rusty's been having, as Benny mentioned earlier, a little bit of trouble getting off of turn 2 over there. And Mark Martin has sensed that and got a great run on his last time around. This time he couldn't get that good run.
We understand the 31 and the 1 are getting black flag. Here's a battle for position. Jeff Gordon takes the 6th spot from Ted Musgrave.
Well, he's Jeff Gordon. Of course, that's not unusual. He did get a lot out of a bad day, but he's getting a lot there as Rusty Wallace sees that 6 car right in his rearview mirror. Martin keeps the pressure on.
Closing in on Rusty once again. Mark has led today, but only 7 laps.
It'll be 10 laps to go when they return.
There's the conclusion of lap 490. A great battle up front between Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin for the title of the Food City 500.
Mark Martin can do right now just hope that Rusty Wallace once again slips as he comes off one of these corners, either 2 or 4. And there's a problem that Rusty's been having off turn 2. Robin Pemberton watching on. Robin, Rusty, the entire crew, they need this victory.
race today. He deserves it.
Just like Jason Keller yesterday in the NASCAR Busch Series race.
Won Phoenix last year. That's his most recent Winston Cup race.
Both the one-car Steve Park and the 31 car of Mike Skinner, both were black flagged by NASCAR. They had heeded the black flag, gone to pit road. They did something on the restart. I'm not sure exactly why, but NASCAR black flag both of them. Get down to it.
Oh, Rusty a little loose again coming off the corner. Allows Martin to close in once again.
5 laps to go this time. Martin taking a look over the inside. He is right there.
Just to close that door. Comes on the left car. Oh! Wow.
He bended the fender on Rusty's car just a little bit. That left rear. Mark wants to record the victory here today and celebrate his 25th anniversary in racing. 3 laps to go. Rusty Wallace continuing to hold off the challenge of Mark Martin. He's only got a couple of more opportunities to do it. Here they come, down to complete lap number 498.
I think we're going to run across some traffic before this is over with.
Very well done. There's 2 cars in front of them running side by side.
That could be the difference. Mark looks to the inside at the end of the backstretch. Can't make the pass. The white flag is coming out. 1 more lap to go. Around the 36-degree banking of Bristol Motor Speedway for the title in the Food City 500.
Well, look at that run Mark Martin has that time. Oh, he tried to get nose under there, but couldn't quite do it.
Got it sideways, but he's not going to be able to do it as Rusty Wallace wins the Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway by 22/100ths of a second over Mark Martin. Dale Jarrett finishes 3rd. Then John Andretti, Jeff Burton, and Jeff Gordon finishes in 6th position. And the crew finally celebrates a victory. Down to Bill Weber.
Well, this is Christmas in April for this crew. They want to walk out to the wall and congratulate their driver. And Rusty's going to spin it around here. Robin, congratulations. That's a great day and just a great win for you and your driver.
It was good. I'll tell you, the shop did a great job. Brand new car. Never spun a wheel till Friday. The engine guys over at Larry Wallace's, all the Penske engine guys. It was a good day for us. March is over with.
You've had a few close calls here in final laps before. Were you holding your breath?
You always hold your breath here. There ain't nothing else to do but hold your breath.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Bill.
That's a big win for these guys. We talked about it earlier. Rusty's first win came here 13 years ago, last week. Now he's going to victory lane again.
The appropriate Polish victory lap in celebration of the great career that Alan Kulwicki had in NASCAR Winston Cup racing. It was here coming to this race that Alan Kulwicki lost his life in a plane crash. Rusty Wallace pulls into victory lane here at Bristol for the 7th time in his career. It's his 5th Food City win and the 49th of his illustrious career. It's his 22nd victory on a short track. And it's his 8th career win from the pole. He takes home $45,600 in 76 challenge bonus money because he started from the pole position today.
Now they did quit doing that, Bob.
Oh?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
But Rusty Wallace was a happy dude. When he rode around the racetrack, that was one happy man. Not only did he win a race, but he won a great race. It was a great battle down to the end.
Led 425 of the 500 laps. A well-deserved victory for Rusty Wallace. Here he is. Here's our McDonald's winner interview with Jerry Punch.
Rusty, from Friday to Sunday afternoon, total domination of the weekend. What an effort.
Well, I got to tell you, Mark Martin, man, that's the guy I was thinking about. He got 4 stickers at the end. It was really mowing me down, but I had a whole lot right here and I held off. But this car, brand new car, Penske South built it for me, and man, did it run. That engine was strong. She's a hot rod. We named it Banker. It's good on these high bank tracks, and she brought home the money today.
I heard you take the checkered flag and you said, guys, way to go, a total team effort. You were applauding the crew, Robin Pemberton and everybody for what they did, bringing a brand new car to Bristol.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chanel. Hey, I'm sorry about that Polish victory lap, but I haven't done that in a while. And those cats that spin around the front straightaway, it doesn't do nothing for me. But remembered I'm a quickie today with that Polish victory lap, and that's where I did it the very first time when I won this whole race here at Bristol in '93. I feel good for him. I'd like to thank all my sponsors. Mr. Penske, you're number one. All our Miller Lite. Jesus, let me look at the side of the car. What's it got on it? Look at there, everything. Noble, Meade, everybody. Lennox. Thanks, guys. PPG.
Hey, you think Rusty Wallace is excited? When this guy's speechless, that's tough to say. What a win for this team here at Bristol, Tennessee.
His very first NASCAR Winston Cup win was here, this race in 1986, and now he records his 49th career win at Bristol Motor Speedway. Back with more in a moment. Coverage of the Food City 500 from Bristol Motor Speedway being brought to you by Wide Track Grand Prix by Pontiac. Wider is better. By Briggs & Stratton, put more power into your lineup. Make sure all of your outdoor power equipment has a powerful, dependable Briggs & Stratton engine. And by Lawn Boy, making mowing easier. All right, Rusty Wallace wins. A great effort at a second-place finish by Mark Martin. Here's John Kernan.
Mark, a fine second-place finish. You had a run on that last lap, but just not quite enough.
Yeah, you know, I had a run. I just didn't have anywhere to put it. You know, leading the race at Bristol with a lap to go, man, it's going to be hard to pass anybody. So, you know, we made a race out of it, and I'm proud of this Valvoline Cummins Taurus team. They hung in there. We didn't have a car good enough to win, and we almost won anyway, so.
What about the 25th year? I mean, it's not exactly the way you'd like to celebrate, but second's not too bad.
I'm tickled to death to run second today, and it was a good run for us.
Mark Martin with a great second-place finish. Let's go back upstairs.
And let's take a look at the point standings now. After 7 races, Jeff Burton has a 52-point edge on Dale Jarrett. Bobby Labonte slips to 3rd. Mark Martin to 4th. Jeff Gordon 5th. Then Terry Labonte, Ward Burton, Rusty Wallace up to 8th, followed by Mayfield and Skinner. And now let's take a look at 11 through 20. And some of these guys were in the top 10, and some of them were in the top 10 during the running of the race, but for one reason or another fell out. Tony Stewart among them. He's 12th in the point standings now. Back with Dale Jarrett in a moment.
This is
back at Bristol Motor Speedway, where the Food City 500 has been run. Rusty Wallace wins. Mark Martin finishes in 2nd position. An outstanding performance. Drive into 3rd was Dale Jarrett. Here's Bill Weber.
Well, I heard you call in and you asked how many laps to go, and they said 54, and you really stepped up the pace. I thought maybe you had a shot.
Yeah, I think we had a shot without that last caution. It would have been interesting, you know. Catching Rusty and passing him are 2 different things, but I would like to have tried. I think I was a little better in traffic than what he was, but our car was really good on long runs. We just didn't need that caution. A little bit tight in the center at the beginning of a run, but congratulate Rusty. He did a great job.
And congratulations to you on a great run.
Well, thank you, and say happy birthday to my daughter Carson, who's 9 today. So happy birthday to you, girl.
All right, Dale Jarrett finishes 3rd. How about the guy who finished 4th all the way from 26 starting spot on the backstretch, John Andretti? Great effort.
It's a great effort. Robbie Loomis did a great job being patient with me, and Friday we struggled a lot, and it's because of me, but Saturday came around and had a great race car. We knew we had one going in the race if I didn't get down it, and just to have the hood on it means a lot, and it's double chicken money back at the shop, so someday I'll explain to you what chicken money is.
All right, I'll find out what chicken money is. Hey, the 43 STP Pontiac, like days of old, finishing with a strong run at Bristol. Bob?
All right, thank you, Jared. Congratulations to John Andretti with a 4th place performance here this afternoon. And when we come back to Bristol Motor Speedway, we'll show you where everybody finished in this grueling 500-lap contest. That in just a moment. Crowd begins to file out of Bristol Motor Speedway after the Food City 500. Let's take a look at the unofficial results. And we talked earlier in the race about how some of these guys that were pitted on the backstretch had an uphill fight, but many of them showed very, very well.
Sure did. Andretti, Jeff Burton also pitted on the back, finishing in 5th spot.
And Ward Burton finishes in the top 10. They're pitting on the backstretch. Only 10 cars on the lead lap as we look down through the field here.
And the amazing thing, only 2 cars were out of the race at the drop of the checkered flag. Jerry Nadeau and Ernie Irvin, the only 2 that did not finish the event. Well, now we move on to Martinsville. We'll have Bud Pole qualifying at 3 o'clock on Friday on the Deuce. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series will present the Napa 250 at 2 o'clock Saturday on the Deuce. Our happy hour coverage is at 5:30 on Saturday afternoon. Then Sunday, RPM today at 11:30, NASCAR today at 12:30, and the Goodies Body Pain 500. The 8th race of the season is at 1 o'clock here on ESPN, and then a wrap-up of the day at RPM tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN2. Well, coming up next, the Women's Tennis Association Bosch and Loam Championships. It'll be Monica Seles against Roxandra Dragomir in the finals. So stay tuned for that. Coming up in just a few moments here on ESPN. What a day it has been at Bristol. Everybody in the pit area directing their drivers and calling the shots. Typical Bristol fashion in many, many cases, because we saw a few crashes, but perhaps not as many as we normally do. But the crews did an outstanding job in many cases.
Well, they really did. And we did see some good long green flag runs, and certainly a lot of action, as we always expect to see here at Bristol.
And Jimmy Spencer was the only guy that injured in Texas that had to get out of his car.
Jerry Nadeau was involved in a couple of incidents out there, and so was Tony Stewart, who was running in 2nd position and doing a heck of a job. He ended up 2 laps down in 15th, and Jeff Gordon was also damaged in that same incident, but he came back to finish in 6th position. For the most part, it was a day belonging to Rusty Wallace as he led 425 laps. There was some sorrow for a while in the Jarrett pit, but he came back to finish in 3rd position. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.